How was that volume wise? His eyebrows are like up here. You could tell. That was loud.
At these late hours, and I don't have to follow any strict schedules. And that's normally when I meet my clients.
The second one is about my voice.
Now it got louder.
From the beginning, I would like to say thank you for this opportunity because
My goal today, as I said, by the end of it, you have at least one thing you've improved on and a very clear path of how to improve all the rest of them. You will feel a little awkward in many of the techniques I will give you. If you don't feel awkward, that means we're not pushing you hard enough. So perfect example, when someone comes up here and they're talking like this and I can't really hear anything they're saying, I usually tell them talk louder. And when they talk louder, they still sound the same. So I have to tell them, in your mind, you should feel like you're screaming. So that a lot of this will feel uncomfortable. I don't want you to think it's uncomfortable, therefore it is wrong. It's uncomfortable, therefore it is what I should do. Just keep that in the back of your mind, okay? So as we've got the feedback form down, I'm gonna do a really shitty speech in front of you right now, and I'm gonna get you to give me feedback on it. Just so I know what kind of feedback we're giving people. Some things to consider with feedback. One, don't take it personally. There's only two ways to respond to feedback. One is thank you, and two is can you clarify? So if I say, hey, I couldn't hear you, what do you mean you couldn't hear me? Well, that's because you're sitting all the way back there. You should, don't argue. Trust me, it's happened in my workshop. Someone gets personal. Just shut up, say thank you, or ask for clarification. That's all. Anyway, so that's part number one. And number two, give me something that I can change. So if I'm on stage, don't say, hey man, I could see your nipple through your shirt. Or hey man, like, you know, your haircut sucks. Like, don't give me that kind of feedback, just based on what you saw there, okay? So I'll do a quick demo, and someone give me a topic to do a really shitty speech on right now. And it's up to you to evaluate. Give me anything. Cricket, okay. Driest freaking topic. All right, pretend like I'm coming on stage, give me a round of applause, and I'll go into a speech, all right? All right. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, cricket. What do I say about cricket? I grew up playing cricket. Really, you know, my neighborhood had this, what do you call it, alley, and I used to be very good at bowling. What was it, the spin style, right? I used to do that. My favorite player growing up was Shoaib Akhtar. I liked him a lot. I liked Inzamam because he was like hitting all the big shots all the time. You know, I think it's great exercise, and I don't really watch a lot of cricket. I think it's kind of boring, to be honest. Like, I'm more of a tennis person. I used to watch Djokovic playing tennis. He recently won the Olympics. That was actually, Olympics were amazing. I wasn't a big Olympics person in general, but then just seeing everyone win the medal, it was amazing. Anyway, cricket. I don't know if cricket is in the Olympics. Is cricket in the Olympics? Next time? Okay, well, it should be, right? So it's not. Yeah, so, you know, I like cricket. Thank you. Okay, now, I bet you're thinking, I came all the way out here for this guy to coach me? Let's start with some feedback. Let's start with just the positive column. So one by one, just tell me what I did well. We'll go from here to there, and then we'll go to what I can improve. So what did I do well?
I think something that was well was that you were kind of like trying to be relatable in that, like, what your personal experiences were. Cool. That was something positive about it.
Okay, cool. How about you, Karan?
Almost similar. Like, initially you weren't aware of the topic, so you were off a little bit, but once you get to know your own topic, like the sport, tennis, you were more comfortable and you were speaking very fluently in that side.
Okay.
Yeah, I was able to understand you. You have a grasp of the English language. You used your personality. You gave an anecdote.
Okay.
I wouldn't listen to you again, but it was good.
To keep it there. So let's flip it now. Let's go to the things that I need improvement on. What do you
There's
think?
a lot.
Okay, let's start.
The hands in the pocket was a bit distracting. Unprepared, no eye contact. Looking at the ground. You went off on like a bit of a tangent as well. Typical
Okay.
stuff, yeah.
Move on.
Yeah, it's almost similar stuff. I think everyone noticed hands in the pocket, eye rolling, sometimes too much actions in the beginning and slowly transitioning towards lower side.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's me.
Okay.
I think from my end was some similar similar things. But another thing that I noticed was the topic's cricket.
Yeah.
So your audience seems to be liking cricket, and you just all of a sudden switched into Olympics. Why is it not in the Olympics or stuff like that? So I thought like it's kind of like making your audience angry.
Yeah. Just all over the place,
Yeah.
rambling, that have nothing else to say, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, raise your hand if you've seen this happen. Have you ever seen a presentation like this
Yeah.
where someone's just talking about random things? So this is how you would give someone feedback. Now, I purposely set the bar very low so that you don't feel like, oh my God, I have to come and do some inspirational speech or anything. We'll do a couple of rounds. I'll get one person to go in, get some feedback, get some roundtable, next person, take a break, do it again. By the end of it, you should get 3 rounds in and we should make some good progress. So any volunteers and who wants to go first? Yeah, you want to go first? Okay, so we'll have you go first. So as he's speaking, same thing, make a column, write his name. And when you're done, just look at me and say thank you and I'll know you're done, okay? I'm going to give you a quick round of applause and we'll get started. All right, let's get you started, let's go.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining me here today. So my name is Hamza Beg, and today I want to talk to you about a topic that is very near and dear to my heart. It's something that my daily life revolves around, and I'm sure you've been exposed to it as well, reading the news or your social media algorithms or whatever else. And that topic is artificial intelligence and automations. So the reason I want to talk about this topic is about 3 years ago, I made the decision to start an automation agency. And I made that decision because I kind of saw the way the world was headed and I wanted to be in the best position possible. What that entailed was I just went to local businesses here in Toronto and I just suggested that there's ways for us to automate repeatable tasks that you're doing in your business. And we can use technology to kind of improve your productivity, increase your bottom line, all of the good stuff. And fast forward to today, what's happened is now I'm the founder and the president of the Automation Institute. What that is we're an online educational platform that teaches individuals just like yourselves that they can use no-code tools that utilize automation and artificial intelligence to do what I did and start their own agencies, start creating monthly income for themselves. And that's the opportunity that I want to talk about today. And before we just jump into it directly, one thing I want to address is that there's a lot of paranoia and negative connotations around artificial intelligence, especially in like the labor market and the job landscape, where mainstream media is purporting this idea that AI is coming to take your jobs. And I understand that that's scary, and to be honest, it's kind of true. It's happening in real time around us. You can see global companies are conducting layoffs, they're doing downsizings, offshoring, nearshorings, whatever it is, in the name of productivity or increasing shareholder value. And so, to be honest, it is coming, and I think that does scare a lot of people. But the flip side of that is that although AI may take away jobs, it's also creating a lot of jobs as well. A different kind of jobs that we've never heard of before. Just the other day, I saw a job posting, which I was very happy about, is there was a position for a senior prompt engineer, and the starting salary for that was $250,000. And that's just highlighting that these jobs are coming, and this is the first of many. And I want people to be best positioned for that. And that's what we try to do at the Institute. And I try and push this message very hard across my social media channels that this opportunity is bigger than people realize. And the credibility that I have is I've seen these trends before as well. I've been trying to make it in the online space for quite a while. I did the social media management agencies. I was very early in drop shipping. Believe it or not, I've owned 3 Bitcoin in my life back in 2015. Lost it in the poker game. It was like $15. But I've seen these things come and go. And AI just feels a little different to me. It feels like there's a lot of potential here. The results that we've been getting is astounding, what I've done with my agency, what my students have achieved. And I'm very excited to just bring it to everybody else and kind of wake them up to what's happening right in front of them. So that's my mission, that's my goal, and I really hope you take it back and you put it to some action. And thank you for your time. I open it up to the floor.
All right, round of applause for him. I'll stand there for a sec. Okay, so one thing I forgot to mention, after every single person speaks, before you get feedback from them or me, I want to get an idea of how you evaluate yourself, because then I get to understand your mindset. And the reason for this is, let's say you come up here and you say, 50 times. And then I asked you, hey, did you pick up any filler words? And you said, no, none at all. So then I know he doesn't see it in himself, right? Yeah. So let's do some self-evaluation. Yeah. A lot like you were to give yourself feedback right now. What did you think you did well? Let's only start there.
I think I stayed on topic. I was able to portray pretty clearly. I think there was a good structure.
Got it.
try to make eye contact with the audience, kind of put project my idea out there.
Okay.
I think I had good gestures with my hands and stuff. I think I
Alright.
tried to make it engaging. Try to put some anecdotes in there.
Got it.
Yeah, like
Okay. And then what did you think you could have improved there?
I think I was talking faster than I intentionally planned to, which I said might happen. But I could feel it in real time, so like
Yeah.
at moments I was trying to slow myself down.
So you were aware of it.
I'm
while-
aware as
okay.
it's happening. I know
Got
what's
it.
going on. Sometimes I think if I'm trying to recall things, if it's a pre-planned speech, I might look to the sky, just like to try and remember. I think
Yeah.
I'd probably do that. I think I looked into the distance a bit, just randomly talking, maybe
Mm-hmm.
pretending there was an audience there. I don't know. Maybe I could have moved around a bit more.
Okay.
I didn't do it, but I in real time I was like, maybe I should walk, but
Yeah.
I didn't walk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think those were what stood out. I think my voice might have been a bit shaky as well. I don't know if it was
Interesting.
clear and like a strong voice.
Okay.
Maybe raspy, I don't know.
Sometimes that could be a benefit.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else that comes to mind? Okay, got it. So what I'm going to do before I get your feedback, I want to hear from you first. I want to test out how he feels about himself and if you felt it too. And the only way he'll benefit is if you're honest. So I'll say, did you feel this? And just raise your hand if you did. If you didn't, don't raise your hand, okay? Did you feel like his voice was shaky? Interesting,
Good to know.
right? Did you feel like he could have moved around more? Right? And can I just ask you to expand on that? Why did him standing in the same place, why was that an issue?
I thought it kind of like connects with all three other people once he's like moving around.
Yeah.
Kind of like on a one-on-one basis, even though three people are sitting here.
Yeah.
So moving around, yeah, that would help.
Okay, so make it more dynamic, maybe? Okay. Did you feel like he was talking fast immediately? Not really? Interesting, okay. And did you notice him looking out into the distance or looking up to the sky? And was it an issue? Not an issue, right? What was it an issue in your head that, oh, I shouldn't have been doing that?
Yeah, it's just something I'm aware of.
Okay. And something to keep in mind is just because you're doing something that's not like a public speaking thing,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean it's wrong. So I'll give you a perfect example. If you look at Steve Jobs, when he was asked questions on stage, the first thing he would do is look at the ground for like 30 seconds. Now, if you're looking at it from a public speaker's perspective, he's looking at the ground.
Yeah.
It's just what we do when we think. So don't beat yourself up
Yeah.
for these small things. So let's go into some feedback. Only talk about the things that you felt like he could improve. What did you note down there?
My case, I noticed that a bit of rambling in the end. You started really good, the preamble was good. Then you started with the AI topic, good examples, but at one point, a little bit saying the same thing or paraphrasing the same thing again and again.
Yeah.
A little bit over there. And expressive, can be a little bit more expressive.
Okay.
And because you know the topic,
Yeah.
you're good at the topic, can be more expressive, like enjoying the topic, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
Be expressive. That's
Okay, nice.
Great
It
feedback.
makes everyone engaging as well. That's correct.
Great
Yeah,
feedback. Okay. And then how about yourself?
A couple of the points that I know we already talked about, talking to
Okay.
class, and then moving around.
Okay.
Nice.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I would agree with much of what they said. But before I give you feedback, I want to ask the two of you one question. Okay. I'll start with you, and you don't say anything. If you had to summarize his entire speech into one single sentence, what was the single message of his speech? Single message, single takeaway.
AI is the future and it might take your job.
Okay. How about you?
It is taking your job, but at the same time, it's creating more jobs.
Okay. And what was the message you wanted to get across?
The opportunity that AI poses for us.
Okay. Now, can you see how the three of you said three completely different things?
Yeah.
Right? So the message is the most important part of any speech.
Yeah.
If you talk for half an hour, 45 seconds later, I can't tell you what it was about, we've got a problem there.
Yeah.
Because you want to arm your audience with enough that they remember it long after. Because when you do your webinars, pitches, videos, whatever, if they forget 45 seconds later, what's the point?
Yeah.
You can say, oh, I didn't have any filler words. I looked directly at the camera, but everyone forgot. So what's the point?
Yeah.
Right? You feel great about as a public speaker, but no one remembers. So the first thing I would have you do is devise a message first and then revolve around it. So let's say What was it you just said about the message? You said AI will take the jobs, but okay. But you had a more happy ending to that story, right? You said there's
Take
opportunity.
advantage of the opportunities that it's posing.
It's really funny because I'm preparing someone for a TED Talk on AI right now,
Okay.
and their topic is, will AI kill creativity? So everything you're
nice.
saying is very, very similar to that. So the punchline we had for that was, AI is not a threat, it's an opportunity to express creativity. That was their main phrase. So when you and she says it 4 times during the speech. So by the time they're done,
Yeah.
and I ask you, hey, what's the message? Immediately I know. So what I would do is I would restructure this and summarize your message in one single sentence, and I would say that several times.
Okay.
Once right at the end, once somewhere in the middle, and if you can hint it somewhere earlier on,
Yeah.
that way the repetition, it helps people remember it because they know it's important. You're saying
Yeah,
it
yeah.
over and over again.
Got it.
So that's one thing. The speed, I think you were going fast just because there's a little bit of adrenaline when you're
that's what it
performing.
is,
Yeah, and then I'm sure the next time you go, you'll slow down a little bit. However, I had an issue with your volume. I feel like even though we're like 2 feet away, you had that issue too. I couldn't really hear you. So I'm wondering, try something out with me really quickly. Don't change anything about your breathing. Put one hand on your chest and one hand on your belly. And just observe what rises more. Is it your chest or is it your belly? Just observe for a second.
Right now, just normally?
Yeah, just normal. And they might be equal too.
Equal. Nothing.
Equal. So that tells me you're not breathing from your belly.
Yeah.
The power usually comes from here.
Okay.
So I'll give you a quick example of this. If you want to know, if you want to have power in your voice, it has direct proportion to how much air you have in your belly. So I'll demonstrate. I'm going to exhale, and then I'm going to try to talk. And you do the same thing with me as we do
Yeah.
it, okay? So we're both going to say, what's the word? We'll say Toronto is an amazing city.
Okay.
Completely exhale, do not inhale back in, and then just talk when you're completely empty, all right?
Okay.
All right. 3, 2, 1, exhale. Toronto is
Toronto
an amazing
is
city.
a what? Fantastic city?
Do you feel tension in your body?
Yeah, I'm like
Right.
that.
Right? Did your voice quiver and shake when you
Yeah.
did that? Now I want you to do the opposite. Hold your belly, take a deep breath, and what I want you to imagine is like there's a spring. You take a deep breath, the spring coils, and when you speak, all the words come out with the air. See what I'm saying? So take a deep breath and say the same exact thing. Push the words out with the air.
Toronto is a great city. Yeah, well,
Do you see a difference there?
Yeah.
Can we try a little bit more? Right?
yeah.
Try it again. Same deep breath and break that past barrier.
Toronto is a great city. Yeah,
Louder
wow.
or what? Right?
That was good.
Okay, now I'm going to sit down for a bit.
Yeah.
I just want you to do the first 30 seconds of your speech by doing that technique. Let's see if you just sound more assertive when you
Like
do that.
every sentence or what?
No, just take one deep breath, exhale completely, and
then
then
say it.
yeah, do it
Okay.
again. And initially, you'll be very conscious of it,
Yeah.
and that's okay. But let's just
Alright.
experiment.
Ready?
Go for it.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Hamza Beg, and today I want to talk to you about a topic that's very near and dear to my heart.
Okay, pause. Same thing. Slow it down significantly.
okay.
Really.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Pause. I feel like you inhale and then you exhale and then you talk.
Maybe.
Don't exhale.
Okay.
Push the words out with the air.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Hamza, and today I want to talk to you about a topic that's very near and dear to my heart. I forgot the speech. And it's something that my daily life revolves around every single day. I think you've been exposed to it as well through
Pause.
your social media.
Do it again.
It's a topic that I'm sure that you've been exposed to as well through your social media.
Now, pause again.
algorithms or-
Now, can you notice how when he takes the deep breath, for the first 5 seconds, the voice is really loud and then it dies down? You're laughing, right?
Doesn't it like run out? Isn't it like
It does run out, but yours runs out very quickly. So I want you to try to train yourself to extend it. I am not sure if this is happening, but I feel like in your mind, you're still holding yourself back a little bit from the volume. Is that happening, you feel?
No, I don't realize.
Okay, so did you notice a difference in his second and third try in volume? Little bit, right? So I want you to be so much louder that it's completely obvious. And this is not how I expect you to talk. I just
Yeah.
want you to push your range, okay? So
Okay.
deep breath, and he should be blown away by how loud you are.
Okay.
All right? All right, let's see.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Hamza, and today I want to talk to you about a topic that's very near and dear to my heart. It's something that my daily life revolves around, and I'm sure that you're familiar with it as well through your social media channels or through the mainstream news, something you've probably interacted with or maybe done research about on your own. The topic is artificial intelligence, and it's something that is coming up, a lot in our daily lives. It's something I'm sure you
Pause.
use.
I saw the energy for
Yeah.
maybe the first 10, 15 seconds. and then
Yeah.
slowly-
But it was much higher than last time.
Yeah.
So you're opening really well. And by the way, this takes a long time,
Yeah.
so don't beat yourself up
Yeah.
over it. I feel like you have a very strong voice inside you. But it's held back a little bit just because you've never been trained to breathe
Yeah.
from the belly, I imagine. Do you feel slightly uncomfortable talking like this?
Yeah, I normally don't.
Yeah.
Talk
And
that way.
believe me, I didn't normally talk like this too. You
Yeah.
couldn't even hear me the way I normally
But
did.
no one usually ever says that I'm too quiet.
Which is interesting, right? Because we're
Is
sitting.
it because of the fans or anything?
Possibly, could be. Which setting do you usually speak in?
Like close quarters, I guess. Like
Yeah, so if you're speaking to a large
Yeah.
room, I imagine then it's going to be a different. Also, plenty of space here,
yeah, that
vocal
makes
things
sense.
going on. But in general, if you just have a higher baseline volume, you'll
Yeah.
come across more assertive. I feel like you were teetering on soft spoken earlier on.
Yeah.
And when I look at you, the last thing I think is soft spoken. Like he doesn't look like a soft spoken person. You look like a confident, macho
Yeah.
individual. I want your voice to resonate with that. So
Okay.
we'll try that again one more time. I just want you to challenge yourself not to run out of your breath, because I think eventually
Yeah.
you run out. Allow yourself to talk. When you feel like you're getting quieter, pause, take a breath, and then start the next sentence strong again.
Okay.
If it sounds a little choppy, I'm okay with that. Let's just see if it works.
Yeah.
All
okay.
right.
So I'll
And-
sacrifice the content for it. Though.
yeah, I don't give a shit what you say. Just loud voice. All right. All right. 3, 2, 1.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Hamza Beg, and today I want to talk to you about what AI and automations are going to do for the future that we have ahead of us. So the reason that I want to talk about this is because over the last 3 years, I've been running an AI automation agency. And the success that we've seen and the results that we've gotten for our clients has been fantastic. And now I'm on a mission with the Automation Institute to put that forward to the students of today, to regular people, to take advantage of the tools ahead of them. And so through the courses and the content that we put out through our social media channels, through our school community, what we've done is we've empowered over 500 different agencies to build AI-based tools for their local communities and take their businesses of today to tomorrow. And that's the mission that I want to push for the rest of my life, because I think AI and automations is the last thing that we're going to have to learn. I think this isn't a trend. I think this is here to stay. And I want to just put that message out there through all of my channels. And I want the regular people to understand that, sure, their jobs may be at risk today, but they have a chance to save their futures by acting today, putting that work in to understand and educate themselves about what's out there.
Give him a round of applause. Is that good or what? That was, honestly, I think that was better than his first speech overall. Didn't he sound way more passionate about the topic this time?
It's because I'm not recalling it. Like, I just spewed out.
So that's one good thing, that you're better on the spot, it sounds like. But also because you're louder, your energy comes across. The first time I didn't feel anything. This time I felt like you
because
were
I was so worried about just saying the right words.
getting the content
Yeah,
and everything,
that was
right?
it.
So right now I felt like you were passionate, even though what you were saying, it didn't really change that much,
Yeah.
but I just felt it a little bit more. What I would change with you is there's a lot more room to add pauses in there.
Yeah.
Not because I want you to be emotional with the pauses, but because it makes you sound more polished, and it gives me just a little time to reflect on what you're saying.
Got it.
Because your topic is a little technical, and if you're talking about AI automation really fast, and I have no time to process in between,
Yeah.
it can go right over my head, right?
Gotcha.
So what I'll have you do is, you can sit down for a bit, but
Yeah.
next time when you go up, just that one sentence message, I want you to focus on that for your speech.
Okay.
And I want you to naturally talk louder without me having to tell you to do that. Okay?
Okay. Yeah.
Very well done, my friend. Have a seat. Give him a round of applause, folks. So we'll do these rounds 2 or 3 times, and hopefully I can find one small thing like this for you. It will take time, but as you can see, we can identify it pretty quickly. Okay, next up, you want to come up, Karan? Yeah? Give him a round of applause.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today I'm going to talk about mental health. So personally, mental health I feel is a bigger issue than we think of it. But on a daily basis, mental health has been affecting to every other human being. Today I'm going to talk about the common mental health issues that everyone faces. In this context, I'll be talking about stress, anxiety, panic, and a little bit of depression. So these are the common mental health issues that we face on everyday basis. And not just, it doesn't matter based on the age or gender of the person, it happens to everyone. So in this case, I'm going to talk about mental health, how it can be managed through time management. In this case, time management can improve mental health. That's what I feel in my opinion. How can it be done? So time management is important in everything, not just for the mental health, but for the different aspects of work, like studying or maybe enjoying certain tasks. But when someone is facing mental health issues, it's mostly based on the time that you're giving to your things to. If it's priority, it definitely should be done by the time. But sometimes time is not managed correctly and things face off very badly. So in this context, I'll be giving my example. I do face a lot of anxiety while I'm doing some work, which is very important, but I'm not able to do it, so I face a lot of anxiety. So there's a project that I've been doing for quite a while, but just because I was a little bit anxious and it was new to me, it took me quite a while to get a grasp on it and get it done by a time. But once after a long time, I just grabbed everything up and I just got a lot serious and tried to distribute time into smaller steps so that it doesn't create more panic in the end and I don't do any mistakes. So I would say as a analyst, I think time is a bigger thing for me than I think it is. So I started doing step by step and following a path which I wasn't aware of can be followed in a certain way. So when I followed it, I jot down the steps one by one. And once I got it through, I got the work done within 2 weeks, which was due for over 3 months. So that was a bigger thing for me that I thought it won't be. But apparently it improved a lot of things in the daily work and in the future projects that I did. So that helped me a lot. And with that said, I did help everyone in my company, as the colleagues and everyone, to divide the time accordingly and give the task priority that you need first. Thank you.
Well done, well done. All right, stand there for a second. Do a quick self-evaluation. So Workbench, one of the things we'll do when someone finishes speaking, I'll ask them how they think they did first, and then I'll get everyone else's feedback, just because I want to know how they feel in their head as well, okay? All right, Karan, what went well? What was good?
I went well. I was loud.
Okay. Yeah, you got feedback from him last time. So
I'm very loud.
Cranked up the volume all the way,
Yeah.
okay.
A little bit loud.
Are you naturally this loud?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
While I speak, I know I have to be loud.
Okay, good.
I present, yeah.
Good.
So I was loud. A good thing. I tried to construct, but I'm not sure if I constructed it really well till the end. So
What do
that's
you
what I
mean,
did.
construct?
Like, deliver the topic, first of all.
Okay.
Deliver
Structure the topic? you mean?
Structure the
Okay,
topic, yeah.
format, got it.
Yeah,
Okay. Anything else that was good?
I'm not sure.
That's it? All
what I
right.
think,
Well, you
yeah.
didn't faint, so that's pretty good,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
All right. What was challenging and or you could have done better?
Oh, a lot of things. A lot of things. I was nervous initially.
Okay.
I was here after a very long time.
Okay.
I was unprepared.
Okay.
Even though I knew the topic, but I still was unprepared. I was shaky. I was rambling a lot. I
Okay.
lost words.
Okay.
So the construction of the whole thing was okay, but the sentences were not constructed properly. That's what I feel.
Got
So that's
it.
why I was repeating words and saying words that didn't make sense.
Got it.
So
Lots to improve there.
yeah, I contact a little bit off.
Okay.
I didn't move a lot, so that's one thing.
Yeah, you know we have a lot of space here,
Yeah,
right?
I
I don't know why we're so.
I usually move, but initially when I started like speaking and all,
Yeah.
people told me not to move. So then I
Interesting.
embodied this.
Maybe you were moving too much, and
Yes,
now
I
you're
was like
moving-
dancing on the floor or
like-
something. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Like
That's
that,
yeah.
the Australian Olympic breakdance. Anyone seen that clip?
Yeah. not that. That.
Oh,
Yeah,
no, it
yeah.
was already. It was never in the schedule anyway. But I'm sure it didn't do any favors.
Yeah.
But I've watched that clip more times than I
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
admit. Okay. Anything else?
That's what I feel.
That's it. Okay. So what I'll do is I'm gonna say out some things. If you felt like he did that, raise your hand. If you didn't feel like he did that, don't raise your hand, and just be as honest as you can. Okay. So raise your hand if you thought he was nervous or you could tell he was nervous. Okay, and just out of curiosity, what gave it away?
It was the ums and ahs, and then I feel like when he was talking, he seemed a little bit stressed.
Yeah.
About it.
Okay.
Like, I don't know if that makes sense. Like, he was,
Yeah.
you can feel it in the voice. Like,
Mm.
when
Yeah.
the words were coming out.
Got it. So pretty obvious right away he was nervous. Okay. And then shaky voice. Yeah. All right. Rambling. Little bit. All right. And did you feel like he lacked structure? You're nodding for yourself. Don't give them any indication. She's like, yes. I don't know what the heck he said for the past 5 minutes. Okay. And he said he made no sense, but I don't know how to get feedback for that. And raise your hand if you thought he needed more movement. Move around the stage. Okay, you didn't.
I didn't mind.
Okay, it was fine.
something you should do, but I didn't mind.
Yeah. Now for the $1,000,000 question, which is if you had to summarize a speech in one sentence, let me start with you. What was the one main takeaway?
Mental health is important, and this is how I overcame it.
Okay.
From what I remember, it was about mental health.
Okay.
There wasn't any other things that I can think of at the moment.
Got it. How about yourself?
I think you say about mental health and
The cost of mental health?
the cost.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. So everyone knows your topic, but no one knows what the message was.
Yes.
Right? It's like,
Yes.
are you seeing the consistency?
Yes.
And this is, by the way, what I struggle with the most, where I would talk for half an hour, like, great speech, man. Not going to remember it in 15 seconds, but really well done. So, one, what do you want the audience to walk away remembering? Always keep that in mind before a presentation, before a speech. Because you can be the best public speaker that no one remembers.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be that, right?
Yeah.
So that's number one. You were very loud, and also you're very articulate. When you pronounce your word and you enunciate, you're very clear. I don't know if anyone noticed, his mouth opens really wide when he talks, and every single word comes out really clear. Maybe it's because you're shouting at the top of your lungs and your mouth is open this much, but I could really understand every word. I really like that about you. And if this was a different subject, some of your nervous energy could have been perceived as passion as well.
Yeah.
Where, hey, I'm nervous because I really want to deliver on this topic. I really want to do well in this. It could have come across that way. And I'll tell you, for me, your nerves weren't a huge issue. It didn't look to me like you were panicking or anything. You just looked normally, a little bit of adrenaline in your body, and that's fine. My biggest challenge with your speech was I felt like it was way too much information. Did anyone else feel that? Right? I think about 30 seconds into your speech, I had to constantly bring myself back in. Like, what is he talking about? Okay, mental health, got it. What is he talking about now? So you're a technical person, and I've seen this many times, where you want to be as logical as possible. I'll tell you this fact and that fact and that fact. And even when you were telling a story, you told a sequence of events. This happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, done. But I didn't feel anything. Did anyone feel anything during the speech? Anyone picture anything in their mind during the speech, right? If you want to make something memorable, you really have to get people to picture something. And one of the things you said was, everyone did this, my colleagues do that. Now, if you say everyone and colleagues, isn't it difficult to picture anything in your head? Like, everyone needs this, everyone needs AI. Nothing comes in my mind. But if I say something like, my friend Josh, he was struggling with his job, and he found this AI app, and every single day he would get on the app and he would practice his public speaking every single morning, every night. And he came to me and said, hey, I practiced this day in, day out. I can feel my public speaking improving. Then he went for his interview and he got hired at Amazon. Did you picture anything in your mind? So when you are telling a story like that and you get people to imagine something in their head, they remember a lot more. So I'd like you to try something. Say the same thing, but only tell me the part where you were telling a story about a colleague or someone else, but pick one person and just tell me their story about mental health. Can we try that for like a minute?
Sure.
Yeah, let's just try that. And the goal is get them to picture what's happening.
Okay.
Okay, let's try.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about my friend who's also a colleague in my team. He's working as an analyst. His name is Shwet. So he was also working on a certain project along with me, but he wasn't able to get the right right path to do it, right way to do the project. That's what I think. So he came up to me with this problem. So once he came up to the problem, I decided to ask him how things are going, how are you doing your project, what steps are you taking. So once he clarified what steps he's taking, but it seemed a little bit off to me because his timing wasn't right based on the project that was supposed to be. So that's where I constructed him a lot of things. I told him, suggested him a lot of things that can be improved upon. So once he constructed those time management things along with the project that was based on that, so he ultimately got things through. That's what I feel.
So it's hard, isn't it?
Yeah, it's hard.
Now,
Yeah.
pause for a second.
Yeah.
Were you able to visualize something in your head when he was telling that story? Slightly? What was coming in your mind?
Like an office space.
Yeah. So we're making improvement. There's imagery there, but did you feel like it was a bit vague?
Yeah.
How can we make it specific? And here's a tip for you. When you want to make a story sound real, add real dialogue.
Okay.
So he came to me and he said, hey man, I don't know what I'm doing. And then I looked at his work and I said, listen, this is what you need to do. Can you feel how that just becomes real all of a sudden? Show me that interaction. Don't refer to him in third person. Pretend like you're him having a conversation.
Okay.
Okay.
So not third person, what do you mean?
Yeah, so he did this and then he did that and then now it's like I'm not in the story.
Oh, okay.
Instead of that, you would say, so he came to me and he said this. Can you imagine being in his shoes? He had no idea what he was doing. He felt overwhelmed with emotion. He would sit on his bathroom floor crying. I don't know what I'm saying here, but can you picture it in your head?
Yeah,
Right?
that's what
Try
I
to
feel.
bring those out. Let's try it again.
Okay. So in this case, as we're talking about mental health, so if I give you an example, my friend, who's my colleague as well, is an analyst, his name is Shwet. He came up to me with the problem. The problem was that his project wasn't being done on time.
Don't tell me what the problem was. Tell me what he said to you about the problem.
Okay, okay. So he told me that his project wasn't being done.
He told me what
Yeah.
was the dialogue. What did he say?
Oh, dialogue.
Yes.
So he told me that his project
No,
is
no,
not
you're doing
being
the same
done.
thing. He told me, Karan,
Okay,
XYZ.
not
What's the
that.
dialogue?
Okay. He told me, Karan, I'm not able to complete the project because I'm having issues. So then I asked him, what issues are you facing? So at that point, I got to know the issues were not exactly technical, but it was more based on the time that he gave to the project.
Pause. Really good up until this point. But can you notice how he keeps going vague again and again? So when he says, now I know the problem, no, tell me what he said about the problem. What did he say? Uncover the story through the dialogue. You skip over it and then you're like, oh, now I know the problem. Let me just talk about the
So
solution.
not generalizing it, I can be technical of the problem that is there.
You can be technical, but make it come out of his mouth.
Okay, that's
Right?
what
So what was the problem, just to tell me right now?
Okay, so he wasn't able to visualize some of the graphs in the
Okay.
and the visualization project.
So imagine he came to you and said, hey, Karan, I'm not able to visualize these graphs. What am I looking at here?
Okay.
Simple change. Try.
Okay. So he came up to me, so starting from the beginning. So my friend was having issues, who's my colleague, his name is Shwet. He was having problems. So when I asked him what was the problem like, he told me that he's not able to do these kind of projects.
You caught it this
Repeat
time.
it.
You caught it this time.
Yeah,
Good.
yeah.
Good, good.
So I'm going a little bit vague all the time, I know. Okay. So my friend came up to me, who's a colleague, his name is Shwet. He came up to me with this problem. The problem was that he told me that Karan, I'm not able to do this project. I'm not able to visualize the graphs that are required in this project. Then I asked him, what issues are you facing? So tell me about the issues, particular issues that you're facing. So he told me that this dashboard is not aligned correctly what the data is. So when I looked at the data, he's like, I told him the data is completely right, but I think you're visualizing it wrong. So it's better if you give a proper time to each dashboard, each graph individually, rather than looking at the whole picture altogether. So where I told him that if you give time like separately on each dashboard and each graph, that step-by-step process would make things better. And ultimately, after a month, when all the projects were done and the dashboard was looked from one point to another at one.
Okay, it's okay.
From one dashboard to another and gave it time and look at the data very clearly in a detailed process, then he was able to visualize the graphs. And I saw the growth that he did, and ultimately that was the problem that he was facing. He was not attentive, he was not giving time to things.
Okay,
He was being
let's
anxious.
pause here. I thought that was much better than the first. What do you think? So this is a bit of an advanced technique, the dialogue bit.
Yeah.
You can tell how it doesn't come naturally,
Yeah.
but then when you're aware of it, you keep correcting yourself. This is the process of growth. So you're
Yeah.
doing everything correctly. But notice how it was immediately more visual in our mind when you walked us through the story. If you say, yeah, everyone did this, my colleagues did, I have nothing to visualize. This is how you can be more memorable. I also noticed while you were doing that, your pace slowed down just a little bit. It's still very fast, but it slowed down just a little bit. Were you more nervous or less nervous the second time?
Less.
Less nervous.
Less. If I knew, like if I remember exactly what it was,
Yeah.
like, it's been a while.
Yeah.
So if I remember exactly it was, if I can construct it in my mind as a whole,
Yeah.
it would have.
Well, don't worry, you'll get another
Yeah.
chance to go at it again. But the adrenaline dump usually happens the first time. And then it just gets easier and easier. So you've
Yeah.
already dumped the adrenaline. Now it's just going to be a walk in the park. Some other things for you. Slowing down is going to help, but a lot like I mentioned to him, adding those pauses to build a little bit of anticipation would help you. However, I don't think you need to focus on that right now. Because you're very technical, the best thing I can give you is the storytelling asset. There's a certain point when you have to graduate from being a public speaker to a storyteller. You can be the best public speaker in the world, and what will happen is people say, wow, she was amazing, but I don't know what she said. But if you tell a story and you're a crappy public speaker, everyone's going to remember the story. Wow, she told a story about her daughter did XYZ. And if you had filler words, no gestures, you didn't use the stage, they won't even remember it because they were so focused on the story. So if you have this asset, especially in a technical role, I guarantee you it'll take you far, okay? So when you come up next time, this is what I really want you to focus on. Slow down and go into storytelling.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Well done. Give him a round of applause. Okay, and folks, this takes a long time to learn. What we're trying to do right now, it took me like a year and a half. So very, very well done there. You want to go up next? All right, give him a round of applause.
Hello, everyone. My name is Amin Pabla. I'm a Toronto-based, GTA-based realtor. And today I want to talk about the misconceptions that a lot of people have these days that you just cannot buy a home. Let me tell you, all you need is $25,000 and you could enter into the housing market. So there's a couple ways that the first-time home buyer can get into the market. For one of the ways would be if you have some down payment saved up, such as low as $25,000, then you can get into the market and then let a realtor guide you through your next steps with the mortgage process or any other. Or if you're somebody that's having a little bit difficult time saving up the down payment, saving up a little bit chunk of amount, something that you could do is invest in a pre-construction, where you'll be giving deposits on a monthly basis over a course of a year or 2 years. And after 2 years, you finish paying the deposits, and then at the end of the 2 years or 3 years, your home will be made. At that time, you will be required to do all the income qualifications, and then by the time you can have a good credit, you can have good job, make sure that you're well prepared to get the mortgage within 2 to 3 years. So that is one of the ways to enter. And then let's talk about the second way, which is if you do have the down payment, if you do have a little bit of money, something that you might not know is you could take up to $60,000 from your RRSP, which you might be contributing in your job little by little. That is another way to gain some down payment. And then next would be to try to get a mortgage approval. That is one of a big factor when you're going into the housing market. When lenders looking at a mortgage, one of the requirements is your income, and then another really important thing is your credit score. Credit score is I would say one of the most important things in your life right now. It's really difficult for you to get a rental if you don't have a good credit score these days. So that is another factor. And then after that, once you have your mortgage pre-approval, after that you can start looking at houses. And as a first-time home buyer, you might not know what you actually want. So you'll be taking a look at least 5, 10, 15 houses before you kind of find out exactly what you want. Maybe you want 2 washrooms upstairs. Maybe you're looking into a townhouse. Maybe you're looking into a condo. You're looking at the amenities in a condo, or you like the open space of a townhouse, or maybe you want to live in the city, or you want to go outside of the city. So those are some factors you're going to get into once you start looking at the houses. Maybe as a lot of the first-time buyers that I work with, they kind of look at the first house. They're like, this is the perfect house. I want this. Put an offer. Give me this house. But I usually recommend them to take a look at it. You'll get some more knowledge. And then another thing that first-time home buyers get a little bit confused about, that is your down payment. Your down payment is like the only cost that you need. As you know, we live in Canada. We pay a lot of taxes. Land transfer tax is one of the biggest costs that you'll have once you do purchase the home. You could calculate it as at approximately like 2%, depending on where you're buying. That would be another additional cost to your down payment that you will be required to pay. But as a first-time home buyer, you do have $4,000 incentive from the government as well. And then, so there's so your realtor can really guide you into when you're taking a look at your mortgage approvals, and then like home inspection, or anything house related, or even sometimes even outside of the house related, could be some things that your realtor can guide you on. So this is a little bit about the first time home buying experience. I hope you learned something.
Well done. All right. Stay there for a second. Okay, that's you. What was the message of his speech?
I think tips and tricks for first-time home buyers.
Okay. Tips and tricks. And yourself?
Yeah, or the first time home buying experience.
Okay.
Challenges and things required to buy the first house. Challenges, questions.
Okay. And what did you want them to remember out of that?
I thought my whole message was a lot of people think that it might be a little bit too difficult to get into the market. I think I want to make sure that people are calm and it's not as hard as you think. There's different avenues, whether you don't have a down payment or whether you do. So there's different avenues for you to get into the market.
I love that tagline. So you just said it in passing, but you said it's not as hard as you think. And if there's a perception in the market that it's really hard, and for me, I feel like, oh my God, I have to go hire an agent to deposit all that. If you just said buying a home is not as hard as you think. If that was just the message, you would have succeeded. And remember this is something my coach taught me. He's like, I'd rather give you 3 things you remember than 20 things you forget. So a lot of what you did, in my opinion, you gave a lot of information. I guarantee you, if I call him tomorrow morning, he won't remember a single one. Am I right? Right? So this is why I keep repeating it, because I've learned this lesson. I would come back from a keynote, wow, I killed it. That was so amazing. And everyone would come up to me, wow, you were so good. I'm like, what part did you like? The whole thing. And I was like, dang it, I worked so hard at it. You don't remember anything. So this is why the message is so important. And I know this is not a speech, but think about it like this. If they just forget everything I said and there's one single sentence, what would that be? I feel like for you, buying a home is not as hard. What was it?
Buying a home is not as hard as you think.
Not as hard. I love that line because it's so relatable. Can you relate to that, right? So what I would have done is, if I were to rework this speech, I would have given an example of somebody who found it really hard to buy a home. Like, imagine you have this situation, you have to go find an agent, get a deposit, and then you don't know if you're paying the right amount, and is the market good or bad? I don't know. Imagine you're going through all of that. It seems like buying a home is, what's the phrasing again?
Buying a home is not as hard as you think.
Yeah, so I don't know why it doesn't roll off my tongue. It seems like buying a home is really hard. But what if I told you buying a home is not as hard as you think? And then you talked about all the things. And then at the end, you would mention that message again. Can you see how that repetition would make the message a lot better? So that was a quick, immediate takeaway for me. But let me get your thoughts first. What did you think you did well?
I thought I was moving around a little bit, trying to be kind of personal, one-on-one with everyone. Trying to see if I'm talking to them. Something else that I did well was, I would say the information was good, but I don't think the sequence was Like it wasn't like there wasn't a structure.
A lot like Karan was struggling with it as well.
Yeah.
So sequence and structure, okay. And you also made it up right now too.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. So this also shows just the importance of practice, because then you can have the right things in the wrong order and they wouldn't make sense, right? Okay, so wrong structure, and then moving around, you were moving around a little bit. What else? What was good?
I think those.
That's it? Okay. I think you have a lot more that was good, but we'll tell you that in a bit. What was there to improve?
I think the area to improve when I'm talking about it, I should have stuck to either one scenario. So I went into two different scenarios, whether you have a down payment or you don't have a down payment.
Got it.
I think I don't know, it would be a little bit hard to just for me to assess the audience, but kind of like sticking to like one way and guiding people on that and improving on that. I kind of went into like pre-construction like a little bit, and then I went this way.
Got it. And typically when you're talking to people, how well informed are they on the topic?
Not that, in my mind, I feel there's like a lot of the times that I think that they know this, but like they actually don't.
So would you say we could be an ideal audience?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So then this is a good replication of the people you'll be talking to in general.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. So 2 scenarios, down payment. What else?
So going into 2 scenarios, and then ums and ahs as well.
Okay. Got it. Anything else?
And then I think on the positive side, I feel like I was good at just like kind of like the hand gestures. On the positive side, from what I remember, I tend to do that in general.
Got it. Lots of hand movement. Okay, let's do a quick test. So I'll start with, raise your hand if you noticed a lot of ums and uhs when he was speaking. Okay. Was it problematic? Yeah? For you as well? Okay. And raise your hand if him talking about having a down payment and not having a down payment, 2 different scenarios, was confusing for you. Right? Or maybe you didn't even know he was talking about that. Who knows? She's like, I had no idea what he was saying. Right? Like, I don't know. He talked about down payment? Yeah, must have. Okay, so there's a lot of room to simplify things, right? My initial impression was, actually, let me ask some feedback from you. Anything specific to note on what to improve? Let me start with you.
We covered a lot of it.
Okay.
It's hard to follow those comments.
Anything from you? Okay, all covered. Anything else?
Negative?
Well, things to improve.
You should do, yeah, you should be repetitive. I mean, it was good.
Yeah.
But when I was lost, it's like structure.
Yeah. Okay. I had similar feelings. First of all, when you speak, I feel like you're very likable. Doesn't he sound very genuine when he speaks? Like it sounds like you have my best interest in mind, which, by the way, from real estate agents is pretty rare to see. Like, I looked at you up on stage, like, oh, he looks like a stand-up guy. I'm sure he's not gonna steal my money and run away or whatever. But so you look very trustworthy, and it's because there's this authentic aura that you have around you. I don't know how you build that, but he just has it. So I like that a lot. The buying a home is not as, man, I can't remember the damn thing. Buying a home is not as hard as you think. That's a really good line that you said to me after the speech. Just put that in there twice. I would love that. Regarding your ums and uhs, if I'm being completely honest, it didn't really bother me. But it did bother other people, so their opinion is just as valuable as mine. The movement, because the room is also set up in a weird way where we have 3 people here and me there, I can understand why you don't need too much movement. And also, does the story or the speech require it? Like, are you gonna show me, like if you're walking into the house and then you see the closet, that will be movement. If I'm moving for the sake of it, so for example, if I'm giving you feedback and say, this is one thing you can do to improve, and this is the other thing you can do to improve, and if you really wanna get better at it, it's pointless. Sure, I have movement, but does it have any purpose? It doesn't. So I wasn't overly bothered by it. You sounded, and you look pretty comfortable up here. My issue with what you said was, honestly, I forgot 99% of it, right? And how can we condense that into 3 solid points where by the end of it, you just say, if you forget everything about buying a house, just remember this, this, and this. And now you know buying a house is not as hard as it seems, right? So I would divide your speech into 3, and I would have 2 segments. 1, show me someone who's going through a really difficult time buying a house. Then introduce that message. Then show me the 3 things I need to know about buying a house. Can we just try a 2-minute version of that? Just summarize all of those things. And if you can't come up with the 3 points, just do 1 point. So it's going to be problem, introduce the tagline, then how we should do it, and then introduce the tagline again at the end. Can we try?
Yes.
Right? Okay. And you mess up a little bit, it's okay. Let's just work with it a little bit. All right.
So 3 points. That saying that it's not as hard as you think.
Yeah.
Buying-
So you start by telling me your first word should go into a story. So imagine you're trying to buy your first house. This was a lot like my client XYZ. She looked at 5 houses and she couldn't figure out where to go, blah, blah, blah. And now imagine you paid $100,000 more for your house or whatever it might be, right? It seems like buying a house is really hard. What if I told you it doesn't have to be that hard? And then you tell me everything I need to know.
Okay. I'm just trying to think of, because like as I said, I'm going on 2
Yeah.
different pathways.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to stick to one pathway and
Yeah.
trying to make sure.
Pick one for now. Let's just make it easy. We'll talk about that after.
Okay. All right. Let's go.
Go for it.
Okay. Well, one of my clients came up to me and said that I don't really save up a big chunk of amount. I don't have the $25,000, $50,000 to save up for it just right in my pocket. How can I get into the housing market? What I suggested them was to get into the pre-construction market, where you'll have to make payments in a monthly payment or a quarterly payments. You'll make a little bit small deposits, and then at the end of either 1 year, 2 years, that's when your houses will be ready. And at that time, you'll have a lot of your deposits saved up, and then you can get into the housing market from there. So that's why I said buying is not as hard as you think.
Could be a little bit more. How do we feel about that?
Hard to follow.
Hard to follow? What specifically was hard to follow?
I guess the structure. what you
Yeah.
suggested, I can't visualize.
Yeah, okay, so here's what I'll do. I'll give you a prompt, just talk about that and then stop. Then I'll give you the next prompt. Let's just see if we can construct the story, okay? To start, just tell me all the problems your client was having. Don't tell me about the solution at all. And make it sound as bad as possible, okay?
One of my clients came up to me and said that she was having a difficult time saving up a big chunk of down payment. That how's she gonna save up $25,000 to $50,000 when when she's paying rent and doing all the other expenses, and this expenses in the city have gone so high. So she really came up to me and said, how can I get into the housing market?
I think we can add more to the problem.
Oh,
It doesn't sound intense enough. Why is this such a big deal? Dig into the problem a little bit.
okay. So start from
Just add to the current story.
So she was just thinking that, is she gonna be renting forever, or can she actually have a home where maybe her future kids and she can get settled down?
That's good. Getting better. And now you introduce the line that says, so for her, buying a home was really hard.
Okay.
What if I told you it doesn't have to be that hard?
So for her, buying a home, she thought that it was really hard, but that's when I introduced her to pre-construction, and she thought that buying a home is not as hard as you think.
So we got right to the end right
Yeah.
away. So this is the transition point. So she thought it was really hard. I told her, what if it doesn't have to be hard? So this is what I told her, and this is what I'll tell you if you want to buy a home. Then tell me the 3 points, or 1 point, however many you have.
Okay. So
It's okay.
wait, sorry, where was I? I forgot.
It was really hard for her.
It was really hard for her. Okay. So she came up to me and said it was really hard for her to kind of save up the down payment. But I told her it's not as hard as you think. I'll introduce you to this. I'll introduce you to this method called pre-construction, where you can have small deposits on a quarterly basis or a monthly basis, where you can deposit the money, and in a year or two, your home will be constructed.
Now, is it making more sense now with the structure? Right. So it's coming together. This will take time, but if you tell me a story of someone who had the problem first and then give me the solution, I'm much more likely to take it on. So I'll give you a really weird example. I had a friend of mine who was vegan for 10 years, and he wouldn't shut up about being vegan. I was like, bro, go vegan, go vegan, go vegan. I was like, I don't want to go vegan. I love fried chicken too much. So I just didn't want to do it, right? And then one day I'm at the jiu-jitsu gym and I am rolling around with this guy and I completely gas out. I have no stamina. And he's just going on and on and on. I'm like, man, what do you eat? He's like, man, I switched to a vegan diet and it just completely changed my life. My stamina is through the roof. I was like, sure it did, buddy. He's like, just try it out for a month and let's see what happens. So against every nerve in my body, I said, okay, let me try it for 2 weeks. I tried it for 2 weeks and my stamina was never higher than that. And then I did it for about 2 years until I finally gave in to Church's Fried Chicken and never went back. but I tried it. But then when my friend found out, he's like, I've been telling you for 10 years, why didn't you go vegan? I was like, because I never heard your story. I never knew the reason. So for you, when you were telling people what to do, first give them an example of what problem it solves. Right? So if I just came up to you and say, hey, you should get into pre-construction. Why? This person had this problem, they got into pre-construction, solved their problem, maybe it'll solve your problem too. Now it lands much better. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So I feel like in general, you have a lot of tendencies of a good speaker. For me, the ums and ahs, I'd much rather focus on the structure and storytelling than that. Sure, be aware of it. If you just get some of these basic stories down, list down all of the objections or concerns your customer has and just have individual stories for those. I guarantee you that'll serve you much better. So we'll try this one more time after you take a bit of a break. Let's just put the structure together a little bit, okay? Have a seat. Give him a round of applause, folks. We'll have you go up next. Let's give a round of applause. All right.
So today I'm here because of 2 reasons. The first one is practicing public speaking because I want to improve my communication skills, inspiring people, and develop leadership skills. The second one is to have networking with people because I want to get fresh ideas from people and develop my confidence.
Well done. Stay there, stay there. He's trying to run away as soon as possible. I'm done. I'm going to go back home. Okay. Well, first of all, there's 2 things that you did really well. And number 1 is you came and you said there's 2 reasons I'm here. Didn't it immediately simplify it in your brain? Okay, number 1, let me hear number 1. Number 2, this is something I forgot to mention to you where if you have points and you don't tell me the number of points, then I just feel like it's going to run on forever. So if I hate point number 1, at least I know, okay, point number 2 is just on the horizon. So for her, it was like, hey, point number 1, point number 2. The other benefit of that, you just sound smarter when you do it. So for example, if I said, today I'm going to teach you a couple of things that will make you better at public speaking. Sure, I might sound okay, but if I said, today I'll teach you 5 things that will make you better at public speaking, which one sounds better? Even though it could be the same information, but just because I numbered it. So you immediately like, wow, she knows a thing or 2 about public speaking. I like that. And also, did you notice her pauses? You very naturally talk in a slow and calm, were you nervous?
No.
Naturally,
Naturally, I'm speaking this way.
what is that?
Naturally, I'm speaking this way.
Not while you're speaking this way?
Yeah, I'm speaking this way.
Okay.
All the time.
You mean in front of an audience?
Yeah.
Well, you look quite natural there. When you were sitting there, I thought, okay, maybe she's nervous, but when you came up here, like, oh my God, this woman just has a lot of confidence. I'm wondering, why did you run out of material? Because the speech could have been much longer, right?
Yeah.
So how come you stopped at like 45 seconds?
So I think I don't have more ideas to
Okay.
that can I develop on it.
Mm-hmm.
But I was thinking from the first, I was thinking like I'm pursuing a new career,
Okay.
which is very important to learn public speaking for
Got it.
that.
Okay.
So that was something in my mind, but
Okay.
I didn't thought anything when I came here.
I'll give you another topic that's easier to talk more about, but let's get some initial feedback. How do we feel? Let me start with you.
I thought like nice pace that like I was kind of like engaged with classes. So,
Okay.
something to improve on was being a little bit louder.
Yeah.
It was kind of a little bit harder for me to hear.
Yeah, and also we have 3 fans here, so that doesn't make it easier. But perhaps I would also say, because it's in more of an intimate setting, you don't have to be next to the wall like a firing squad. Just come a little bit closer. That's okay. They won't bite, I promise. How about you?
Very expressive and very specific. That was good. That the points I talked about.
Okay.
And but can go down, of course, can be more louder. And you're confident, but there's a little bit shyness I can see there. A little bit shy. You're still confident, like if you're not exactly there, but you have a lot to offer. That's
Yeah.
what I think.
I feel like it's just the topic we picked is not doing you justice. So I'll get you to speak again about something longer. I think we'll get a lot more out of you. How about you?
Yeah, I agree with all of that. The face was good. A lot of smiling as well. Just
Yeah.
You're happy as you're listening to it.
Yeah.
It was relatable because obviously we're here for the same reasons. And
Yeah.
hand gestures were good as well. Just follow you.
Out of curiosity, what do you do for a living?
I'm a midwife.
Okay. Now, raise your hand if you know what a midwife is. A midwife. Okay, so your audience doesn't know what a midwife is. I think this would be a great opportunity to tell them what that is and what you do day to day. Can we do that?
Sure,
I think you could talk about that for 5 minutes at least.
I can do it.
Okay? All right, let's give her another round of applause. And come a little closer, and if you can, a little bit louder.
So, yeah, every time just when I'm speaking, I have a little bit voice problem.
Okay.
I wish if I can speak like this louder.
You can try.
Okay, so professionally, I'm a midwife. Midwife is a healthcare professional who helps a mother during pregnancy, birth, and postpartum, including newborn. So daily, I'm doing admission for the mom when their labor comes during the birth, or admission during checking up or following up moms during pregnancy follow-up. So, and also doing checkup after birth until 6 weeks of postpartum.
Can you tell me something interesting that happened to you at work?
Okay, the interesting thing I've done in my practice, there are a lot of things, but if I can tell just one thing, I remember the mom gave birth of preterm baby. Those of you who don't know the preterm or premature is a baby born less than 37 weeks of gestational age. So the baby born maybe at 34 weeks of age. It's a long time ago. And we are doing like a teamwork. Our job is a teamwork. There is obstetrician, there is a midwife, there is a nurse, there is respiratory technicians, and anesthetist, a team of people working together. This baby born at 34 weeks. And unfortunately, the hospital is very rural area. We don't have all those teams. Practically, we have to have all those teams, but we don't have all those teams. Just me, some number of midwives, and the general practitioner. We don't have even a specialized obstetrician in the field. So the baby was born, he's not breathing, and we tried maybe 3 minutes, then nothing happening, everyone left, then I just give a consent to the mom. Can I try again, maybe as long as it takes, what I can do for you? She said yes. Okay, I make her sign a consent for her. Then I try to give oxygen and CPR, all of that. Then baby, at some point, baby started to breathe. And I'm very skillful just inserting IV line for the babies. I don't know, I'm always lucky. So I did secure IV line for the babies, wrap the baby with the cotton wool just to prevent hypothermia for newborn babies. That kills most of the premature babies. Then I do all of that, and I have to ask a physician to write me a prescription for the babies. needed medications because it's not like Canadian culture. I can write by myself and doing for the babies. Then I have to ask the physician to write the prescription for me. Then I go there and I ask him, would you please write me a prescription for the baby? How do you know all those drugs that's important for the baby? I knew because I learned it already in school. So he said, okay, you're gonna sign for me because he don't want to take a risk. That's why he left. Then I took a risk. I signed, I took my prescription, bring the medication, start IV line for the baby. And this is, I think, Friday evening, and I had to be off during the weekend. So because I started for the baby, the treatment, and I took a risk, I can't be off all of my weekend. I have to stay there. Then I stayed there every single hours, following up for the babies. At the end of the day, on Monday, the baby started to feed on the breast. Then every morning, as like in healthcare, I don't know if someone knows in hospital, and we do round every morning how the patient was during the night, any improvement, any deterioration or something, if the treatment is working or not working. So the physician came for the round with the team, and the baby is breastfeeding. Is this patient is different one or the one I knew? The physician said. Then I was one of the part of the team there. I didn't say anything. Then the mom said, it's me. Is this your baby? Of course, yes. Then how did this happen? Ask for recognition. Then yeah, this happened in my life, and I'm still proud of myself. Actually, not only me, by the help of God, I did it and make one single person who can contribute to the country survived.
Round of applause, folks. Wow. All right, stop there for a second. Now, first of all, the round of applause was not just for your speech, but for what you did. That was, now tell me, did you imagine what she was saying? How much were you thinking about her gestures, her body language, her filler words, whatever? At some point, I had to remind myself, I have to take notes here. That's why she's here, right? Because the story was so engaging. But I want to point out some things that you do naturally that all of us could learn from. One, did you notice the dialogue? Yeah. Real dialogue. Did you see how much it intensified the story? It felt like there were characters in the room. And I was there in the hospital. I was there when you were doing the prescription, when the following Monday, when the physician came back. It was amazing. So just an absolute masterclass in storytelling. The other thing I feel like you did really well is that you built up a lot of anticipation. So you had great characters and also anticipation. Did you feel like, oh, what's going to happen next? The entire time I was at the edge of my seat. So you did that unbelievably well. But one thing that I can say with certainty is I won't forget that story. I'll remember this tomorrow. I'll probably make a video about it on my Instagram too. This lady came into my workshop, told me this story I won't forget, because you made me feel something today. Did you feel something? Raise your hand, right? So if you can get people to do what she did today with you, like whether it's with your real estate clients, whether it's with your speech, it genuinely makes a difference because it's memorable. And a sign of a good public speaker, which you are, is that you made me forget everything else in that moment. Because you were telling such a genuine story. So I feel like I didn't do anything here. You just came here with this raw talent. I can't take credit for it, but you did an amazing job. The only things that I feel like could benefit you is one, great story, but what's the message? What do you want me to take away from that message? So let me just go around the room, and I'm sure everyone had a different message. What message did you derive from her story?
She took initiative at her job and went above and beyond.
Okay, so taking initiative. How about you?
Yeah, trying going beyond her ways to help someone.
Mm-hmm.
And doing her job at the best.
Okay. How about you?
Like saving a child.
Okay. So one thing you want to remember is whenever you finish a speech or presentation, your goal is to get your audience to think, feel, or do something. If you're telling them an amazing story, but at the end, they're like, wow, powerful story, what do I do with my life now? How do I implement this into my life? So you've done everything it takes to build the case for taking a risk or going out of your way to do something that might change someone's life. So for me, the biggest takeaway was take a risk because you can save someone's life, or take a risk that it might change someone's life. So at the end, you can say, so you might have opportunities in your life where you're faced with a difficult decision, where you need to go the extra mile, but maybe it's 5 o'clock and you want to go back home. But what if you stayed that extra 10 minutes? What could you have done to change somebody's life, right? So that extra message would be great. And on a delivery side, if the fans weren't so loud, if you could have been a little bit louder, the caveat with that is because you're so emotionally expressive, did we see how much her face changed during that? Your face changed, you look here, you look there. I was so engaged with it. If we add a little bit of volume to that, there's not a whole lot I'd have you change. Message and volume. So I feel like you're coming in at a very, very strong point. What I'd like to get you to try next time is a different story. And let's just see how much more of a message you can have in there. Can we try that? Right? Round of applause, folks. That was very, very good.
Thank
Have
you.
a seat, have a seat. Did you know you were this good?
I don't know.
Well, now you do. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You,
Thank
you
you. I
look
appreciate
confused
it.
or disappointed. Like, it's almost like you're unhappy.
I'm happy.
I'm confused. Usually be like, oh, really? I'm good. You're like, oh, well, I guess I am pretty good. Well, whatever. All right, we'll take a bit of a break. I'll come put my chair over there, grab some water if you need to, walk around. I know it's kind of warm. And we'll do some quick Q&As. And I'll have you come back here real quick as well. Okay, so what I'd love to do is we've got one round of feedback in. I just want what's floating around in your head, any questions coming up. Is there anything more specific you want me to pinpoint? Because I want to make sure I'm not giving you the feedback that I think you need, but you're getting the feedback that you need from yourself, okay? So let me just start this way. We'll go this way around. Ask a question, whatever's floating around your mind, and then we'll work it into the next session.
I think from when I came here, one of the things was to kind of sound trustworthy, and I thought you gave me a feedback on it did sound like that, which I didn't know actually.
Yeah.
I thought I was just kind of talking, and I kind of wanted to be a person that even if I'm recording a video or something, I want to make sure that I'm going as a trustworthy person. That was, I think, a positive that I took as in this.
Okay.
Something I still wanna take a look at would be a small talk. I guess that's a little different than just having
public speaking.
Kind of connecting with each person. I know as soon as all of us entered, you kind of connected with each other on a kind of a personal level. You had a story on kind of relating to each of us, and then right away it made us very comfortable talking to you. I think to kind of get on that type of level, that's something that I would want to take a look.
So if I understand your question correctly, it's how do I build rapport with someone as soon as possible?
Yeah.
And that also establishes trust, right?
Yeah.
Does anyone else have that challenge? No, sales calls, I'm sure you have that a little bit. So it's really funny to me you mentioned this, because this has been my biggest challenge. Because I've been told I'm the Terminator. I come across like a robot sometimes. So I have to expressively be a little bit more conversational. But what helps me is when I'm meeting someone for the first time, I try my best to make it seem like I've known them for a long time. So if I come, let's say you walk in the room, hello, my name is Yasser. How are you? Good. Okay. Please have a seat. We'll get started in 5 minutes. Don't you feel a little anxious already? We don't know each other. I don't know what this guy's like, right? But I don't even know what I said to you when you walked in, but I try to greet you in a way where I've known you forever. Is that how you felt?
Yeah.
Right? So what we could try is when you come and do a speech here, instead of doing a speech, you do a 5-way conversation. So let's say all of us are here trying to buy a house, and you're just having a conversation with us. And you will navigate and facilitate that, and we'll all pretend like it's the first time we're ever meeting it, which we are. We know you a little bit by now, but we'll just see how that conversation flows. And because I know there's some areas where people feel that they have a responsibility to keep the conversation going. Like, let's say you and I met for the first time and I said something to you and then you're not giving me any more information. Now, I'll feel like I'm doing a bad job because he's not telling me. Anyone felt like that before, right? So we'll see how that dynamic plays. But just as a tool, one thing I like to do is have you read Never Split the Difference? I feel like you might have read it, right? So there's a book called Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss, and he talks about what and how questions. So if you can get someone to tell you their story, even if it's a micro story, and then you can tell a story, it helps you connect right away. So let's say I met you at a networking event, and I was like, what do you do? Oh, I'm a real estate agent. Okay, great, I'm a public speaking coach. How much have we connected? Like nothing, right? But if I said, hey, what do you do? And you said, I'm a real estate agent. Oh, what got you into that? What will you tell me now?
I'll tell you my story.
A story. And now immediately I will relate to you a lot more. And because you told me your story, there's a little bit of trust built and I'll feel the permission to tell you my story. So I try to get to that point as soon as possible. So you'll notice when I ask you, hey, what do you want to work on? Tell me more about your job. I'm trying to understand where you're coming from. So it sounds like I did an okay job of that, right? Yeah. So we'll try that exercise and switch from maybe you can even sit down for the next one. And let's just see how you do from a conversation perspective. I have a counseling background. So what they would have us do is they would have one person be the patient, one person be the counselor, and one person on the side just observing the conversation. So I'll observe how you manage to talk to these people and if you can build rapport, and we'll all bring our serious face. Okay? He has to really crack us open. All right? Up for the challenge?
Yeah.
All right, beautiful. We'll do that with you. How about yourself?
So far it was good. I got to know about the structure thing, which I was aware of, but
Yeah.
still a bit not conscious about it much. So that's the thing. I need to structure it better. It's more of a storytelling thing again.
Yeah.
But how will the people resonate? Like visualize.
Yeah.
So it happened to me previously. I gave a big presentation, directors, managers. They were like, okay, that's fine. Everything was good. But what was the product? I like, the product, oh, okay, now we can, like, okay, I'm sorry. I wasn't clear enough. That was one thing. Then another thing was like, okay, we got to know what the product is, but what exactly did you do?
Yeah.
I did this. Like, oh, so that was it. We thought you went that with this, like different tangents.
Now let me pause you here for a second.
Yeah.
What you just did right now
Exactly.
gave me more imagination than your story up there.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Right? 'Cause I pictured I pictured you on stage, so I know you have the ability.
I think, yeah.
You just did it.
Yeah.
Did you feel it as well? Right? So everyone knew exactly what you were saying. So what you need to do is simplify whatever you talk about the same way you just did now. So what did you do now? Let's unpack that because you answered your own question. I didn't even do anything.
Yeah, I think it's based on, in terms of interviews, they ask like cases.
Yeah.
Okay, based on your experiences, okay? A situation happened where it was just you taking responsibility, not your manager.
Got
But
it.
what do you do? Then I think of it, I know the situation,
Yeah.
but I know it's very generalized, but I remember. How can I be technical but not too technical? That's where I fumble and make stories around
Okay,
that.
so if anyone, which I assume is everyone, wants to get better at storytelling, I recommend you write the next 5 things I'm going to say right down. It's really going to help you out. You're already really good, but it's good to just know what it is you're doing. It'll help you. So this is a storytelling structure I learned from my coach, Craig Valentine, who's a world champion in public speaking. So you might know a thing or two about public speaking. So this is a 5 or 6 step format. The first one is circumstance, which is essentially your situation, who, what, where, right? The second step is going to be your conflict. Now, this is the most important part about conflict. Spend the most time here. And there is an urge for people to talk about the problem a little bit. Now, let me talk about my solution, my product. They jump right away. So remember this, the bigger the pain, the bigger the payoff. There's no pain, the payoff doesn't seem that big, right? So if I said, this is a pen, I'm going to try to sell you this pen somehow, right? So let's say I'm going to talk about this pen. This pen has black ink and it's gray and you can see it at night and it's amazing, buy this pen, whatever. But if I said, I have been writing for stand-up comedy for 6 years and I've experimented with 17 different pens. And the problem I have is when I write down, the ink is too dry. It doesn't come out naturally, and then I don't want to write more. It actually stops me from writing. I went through so many pens. I've actually spent $400 on different packs of pens. I just can't find the right one. So one day, my girlfriend brings me this one. And I said, okay, this is just like all the other pens. She's like, no, this one feels a little different. Let me try this one. So I grabbed it and I wrote with it, and it's the smoothest pen I've ever used in my life. I continued writing with it. And another thing I realized, sometimes I'd wake up in the middle of the night, and even without knowing where the pen is, I was able to just grab it and scribble something. And when I would check it in the morning, my writing was so clear just because it's so comfortable to hold. So that's why I love this pen. And if you want a pen, I recommend it. So what I did there was I talked about how big the problem was first. And then I talked about why the pen is a solution to that. Does that make sense? A weird example, but so when you can make the pain sound really big, your solution sounds great. In your interviews, what you want to do, don't just say, yeah, this was a situation, I had to do this task and I did it and great. What if you said, well, instead of I did this task, there was this problem. There were no leads coming in. There was a leak, whatever. They're going to fire the marketing person. The business would shut down. And then I did this and this was the result. Can you see the difference there? Yeah. That's why you want to spend the most amount of your time on the conflict. Just when you think you have enough dirt in the conflict, dig more, find more pain. Then the next point you get to is called the cure. Now the cure is not the solution. The cure is when something has been introduced that now starts to change the situation. So let's say you have back pain and you go to the doctor now gives you medication. That's when your life starts to change. It hasn't changed yet, but it's introduced into your life. So this could be your product. This could be advice someone gave, like you said, get into pre-construction. This could be your AI automation. This is when things start to change for someone, right? A really good way to do this is don't make yourself the hero of the story. So let's say if I said, I had a lot of mental health challenges. I was going through XYZ. Then one day I decided I shouldn't do this anymore. So then I started working out, eating healthy, and I'm really fit and I'm good. Great story, but you could have done that the entire time. What lesson do I learn from this? But if you said, then I read this book that had this quote that said, believe in yourself. And I really thought about that. And then I started working out, eating, blah, blah, blah. And now my life has changed. So you put that process on the pedestal. You put someone else on the pedestal. Exactly. So you put the cure on the pedestal. You don't make yourself sound like a hero in that situation, right? So in your story, you didn't intend on doing this, but when you mentioned the mom of the child, it sounded like she was the hero because they asked her, hey, how is this baby still here? She said, oh, it's because of her. So she was the cure in that situation. Or even you could argue you were the cure in saving the baby's life, right? So that's the cure. And then you get into the resolution, where it's, okay, I implemented the cure. How did my life change? And you know you've told a story when there's some emotional change, where the character at the start, all the problems they were having, the problems are now different at the end. If there is no difference or there's no emotional change, it's not a story, it's a sequence of events. This happened, this happened, this happened, this happened, and people are not going to feel anything. So ideally, either the company changed, the product changed, the customer changed, what kind of emotional change did we see? And at the end, you will have your message. So because of this situation, I learned that you should go out of your way to take a risk because it can change someone's life. I learned that buying a home is not that hard. This is your main takeaway message. So a condensed version of this could just be conflict, cure, resolution. And if you can remember the message, that's great. But that's your easy way. So to answer your question in a very, very long way, what I would do to tell a story, now that you have this format, write one single sentence for each of them. So what you should be able to do is read the 5 sentences and the story should make sense. Okay. Right? So what was your last story again? It was about a mental health, right? Okay. So in one sentence, tell me the situation. Okay. What was it?
Having mental health crisis on a day-to-day basis.
Who was having the mental health crisis?
Initially, I was having.
Okay, so yeah. I was having mental health crisis, and that could also be the conflict, but you can talk about it a bit more. Yeah. How did that affect your life negatively?
I was getting my work done at the office and in my personal life as well.
Okay, great. So we've got circumstance, we've got conflict. What was the cure? What started changing things for you?
I read it somewhere actually that time management can improve your mental health.
Okay, great cure. So that's the cure. Now you implemented time management. What happened at the end?
yeah, I implemented it. At the end, things started working out. I was being more productive. I was doing tasks on time, meeting the deadlines and
Okay.
everything.
And then what did you learn, or what takeaway message do you want to give the audience?
Time management can be a solution to your mental health.
So that was a 45-second story. So you start with that, and then you add the details.
Okay.
What we do is we start with the details,
Yeah.
and then we say, what do I remove? Okay? And this is my go-to for every keynote that I do. So
true.
bare bones version, then move on.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So you said don't make yourself a hero.
Yes.
So in interviews you have to.
Yeah.
But how can I not be too obvious, like you say?
Interviews is a different situation because the whole goal there is to,
Yeah.
and they
How
even,
did you do?
yeah, if you go to Amazon, they literally say, hey, listen, don't try to be humble. Like, just tell me what you do. They will tell you that. In that situation, 100% talk about yourself. When you're trying to motivate, inspire, for that,
yeah.
put the crown on someone else.
Okay. Makes sense. Makes
Okay,
sense.
next thing you know, you go for the interview. Yeah, this Yasser guy told me don't talk about it. What the hell?
That's true.
All right, go. Your turn.
Thank you.
So it was good feedback. I think the main thing was the volume. It's not something that I've actively been told before, but I've always seen myself as relatively soft-spoken.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is something I want to change.
Okay.
I guess it just feels unnatural. So I don't know if it's something you're born with, because I know very loud people.
Yeah.
And it just seems like they don't think about it. They're just naturally loud. I'm just
Yeah.
like, okay, that's not me. I'm soft-spoken. But
Yeah.
if there's a way to transition and practice or force myself to be, that's totally fine as well.
Yeah, I had a really big mindset shift around this about 10 years ago, where I was reminding myself that I'm an introvert. I'm an introvert, therefore I have these set of behaviors. Right? I'm soft-spoken, whatever. And a coach once told me, everything you do in your life is a learned behavior from the day you were born. I'm sure you can speak to this as well, right? You've got parents who talk loudly, you will talk loudly. You have parents who don't have the best habits, they eat sugar all the time, you will do the same thing. So if we can think about it in the perspective of, this is not who I am, these are the behaviors I have learned most of my life. Now all of a sudden it becomes much easier to change because you're not saying this is me. The only difficulty with this is the habit is so ingrained, it seems like it's your identity, right? So you can acknowledge, okay, I've done this my whole life. It's gonna feel really uncomfortable when I change it, but if I just put enough time into it, I can change it. And if you saw me 10 years ago, you would not recognize the person. Like I was, not only was I soft-spoken, I had social anxiety disorder. Like I would go into meetings like this and I would ask questions like, where do I look? What do I do with my hands? Should my hands be on my lap? Or maybe I should. So I was literally thinking about all these things because I just never learned the behaviors, right? So for you, it feels like, okay, I'm this way, but now you've realized you're able to do it because we saw you do it. What would happen if you put in a couple of months of repetition behind it? Can we change those behaviors?
As long as I know that it's possible to change, I'll do it.
Oh, 100%. There's a couple of things you can change, like sometimes the pitch of your voice you can't really change, like what your arm span length is. Those things you can't change, but storytelling you can change, your voice you can change, and you're a very assertive person as it is. Everything I saw today is you can change, no problem.
I guess there's also some like self-consciousness as well with it. Like,
Yeah.
am I being too loud? Is this
Yeah.
weird? Are people listening to my conversation? Like, it's always going to be there.
Yeah, and rightly so, because people are judging you. That it's a natural instinct. We're trying to protect threats. I remember I was at this Toastmasters convention. It was a public speaking contest, 500 people in the audience, and there was a lady sitting next to me, and someone was getting mic'd up to get on stage, and this person had a mohawk that was dyed red, wearing a suit and everything. And as they're getting mic'd up, the person next time, oh boy, this is going to be a good one. Like, he hasn't even said anything yet. He's not even on stage yet. It's like we make these assumptions about people and there's no way around it. But if you know there's certain behavioral traits that lend themselves to people thinking about you a certain way, then it helps to adopt those traits. Like, you know, if you speak louder, more assertively, people will treat you more with more respect. Adopt those traits.
And it fits the lifestyle or the presence that I put out now, because I'm pretty big on social media.
Yeah.
And I have this following where people look up to me because I teach as well.
Yeah.
And so, like, I used to get imposter syndrome. I don't anymore. So much has happened where I'm like, I know it's fine.
Yeah.
But now I just have to fit these things in, these little gaps where it's like I have to be louder, I have to be more assertive.
I will say, everything that you're learning today, and this took me a while to learn, even if you have deficiencies in your public speaking, it doesn't mean you have any deficiencies in your character. You can be a terrible public speaker, but be an amazing human being who changes lives. So this is a really silly example, but when I was really young, I had a lot of dating issues. I couldn't really get any girls, and it was really bothering me. So my main motivator for public speaking was getting some attention from women, right? So I thought, if I learn how to be more confident and talk to women, I can feel good about myself, right? And then I learned to be more confident, and I still didn't feel good about myself because I'm leaning on a skill set to fix my self-esteem. But then a coach of mine, he said something so brilliant. He said, a lion doesn't need to sharpen his claws to know he's the king of the jungle. He just believes he's the king of the jungle all the time. It's like, man, that is deep. Like, if you just believe in yourself and your character, nothing else is relevant. So learn the skills because you want to be a better storyteller, but it does not affect who you are as a person. Not that you have any issues with that, but just putting that out there.
Cool.
Cool?
Let's go. I had one more thing.
Please.
It goes back to what was in my form, but whenever I am speaking or delivering anything, there's always like when you were speaking, everything just flowed out naturally.
Yeah.
It's like not even thinking about it. But everything that I say is like calculated or like it goes through a filter when I'm like preparing.
Almost
say.
like an AI.
Yeah, exactly. Everything's very carefully chosen, and I
Yeah.
would rather just be able to free flow and just say stuff off the top of my head.
Yeah. Couple of things there. So when this is happening, how well do you know the subject matter?
I could know it pretty well.
Okay. And what are some of the thoughts or doubts that are roaming around in your head?
Like just preparing to say it, like this is how I'm going to say it, this is how I'm going to deliver it, this is the best thing. Like I'm just...
I'll give you a strange analogy. This might help, okay? I'm assuming everyone here knows how to walk, right? If I told you walk from here and cross the street, you would have no issue doing that, right? But if I said, okay, here's the scientifically perfect way to walk. Your back has to be straight, your chin has to be up here, your eyes have to be directly in front, your right hand and your left leg have to be synchronized, your left hand and your right leg have to be synchronized, and as you're walking, there has to be a 2 feet gap between your legs. Now, make sure you do all of these things as you're crossing the street. How well will you perform?
Pretty bad, man.
But that's what you're doing when you're speaking. You know how to speak, you know the story, but because you're so hyper conscious of everything, you can't do what you're already trying to do. This is not an issue with speaking, this is an issue with focus. How can I focus on something so much that everything else becomes irrelevant? If I had a tennis ball, I'd give you an example, but you ever seen a cat chasing a laser?
Yeah.
Do you think the cat is thinking about anything else in that moment? No? Ever play ping pong or tennis, right? What are you thinking about in that moment? Just let me smash the ball back. Are you thinking about your taxes in that moment? No, right? So when you're speaking, if you can bring your focus to one specific thing, everything else in your mind shuts down. So for me, I just try to put all of my attention onto, you know what, let's do a quick exercise. We'll take like 2 minutes, and this will demonstrate the exercise really quickly. I just want you to think about a time that made you really nervous on stage or whatever. I don't know if you ever get nervous, but just think about it for a second. A time that makes you uncomfortable. Close your eyes for 30 seconds, just think about that. Just do that for a second. Okay. I don't want to go into trauma territory here. Let's open our eyes now. Do we have something in mind? Okay, just keep that really fresh in mind. Now, I'm going to have you do something with me as an exercise. Bring all of your awareness into both of your feet. Just become really aware of them. Don't change anything. You immediately change the moment I said it. Like, oh. Just be aware of it in your feet, okay? Now, bring all of your awareness just into your right toe, the biggest toe on your right foot. Don't move it or anything. Just bring your awareness there. And feel it compared to the rest of your foot. Now, just try to wiggle it like this, like almost like small taps, like this. And you'll notice as you're doing it, the other toes are also moving a little bit in your shoe, right? But you're not consciously moving it. Just move it a little bit. Now stop and move the little pinky toe in the same foot. This one's gonna be a little harder, right? Just move the pinky toe a little bit. Awkward movement, the middle toes are moving a little bit too, right? Just bring your attention there. Now, I want you to simultaneously do this one and this one. Toe, small toe, big toe, small toe. Okay? Big toe, small toe, big toe, small toe, big toe, small toe. Now, stop for a second. Let's shift to the left foot. Same thing, let's just do the big toe. Tap it left, left, left. Just tap it like that. Feels weird, right? Okay, now stop. Now just tap the pinky toe, the left toe. This one's gonna be really hard. Okay. Now to bring it all together, you're gonna do both toes, both pinkies, both toes, both pinkies, okay? Just really feel that in your foot. Weird coordination too, right? Okay, stop for a second here. How much were you thinking about that issue right now?
Previous issue?
Yes.
Nothing.
This is the power of focus.
Yeah.
It was just top of mind 20 seconds ago.
Being mindful in the moment.
So when you shift your focus to something else, everything else disappears. So when you're on stage, your only focus should be what's coming out of your mouth.
Adding on to that,
Yeah.
so when my issue is, I'm somewhat afraid of being alone in the moment
Okay.
without having anything going on because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't trust myself to come up with what I need to say, or I'm gonna blank, or
Yeah.
like he's gonna F up, so I need
Yeah.
to be prepared because I don't trust him mindfully on his own. It's like a fail-safe that I have everything.
Yeah,
ready.
yeah, yeah. No, it's a safety mechanism
Yeah.
where you've given yourself reason not to trust yourself.
Exactly.
So I would come back to the level of preparation. So if you, like for her, that story just came out automatically. Right? If you said a story so many times, like if I asked you your ABCs, how nervous would you be? You know you've just said it so many times. Similarly, we don't know our material as well as we think we do. And I can tell you right now, raise your hand and be honest. I'll be the first one to raise my hand. If you were asked, tell me about yourself, and you wouldn't know exactly what to say. Right? Or you would get asked, tell me about yourself today and tomorrow and next week, and the answer will be different every time. Right? So it's the most basic thing. We should all know it, but we don't know it. So I would challenge you, you might think you know your topics, but maybe you don't know the right structure in which to explain them. When you've said it enough times and you've gotten good feedback around them, that's when you start to trust yourself. So maybe you're not quite there.
Yeah, it's probably also just a limiting belief that
Probably, yeah.
no matter how much I prepared, something might happen.
Oh yeah, something will always happen. Just as long as you've done the prep work, you should be good. And this is very context relevant too. Have you done prep for a sales call? Have you done prep for your webinar? Maybe we can dive into specifics of that afterward.
Okay, appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, any thoughts around the feedback you got or any question that you have?
Yeah, so I have 4 things to talk about. The first one is I never know I'm a good public speaker. I didn't get a really genuine comment for what I'm doing. I'll always have a conversation with friends or something like that, but no one said to me like this. I really appreciate that, all of you. The other thing is I have insecurities since I came here because English is my fourth language.
Yeah.
And I'm struggling with speaking English, still trying. And I feel like my English is not good. People doesn't understand me. Just I put something in my mind and by myself, I'm losing my confidence from what I'm doing. Because I heard a lot of stories how we can put something in our mind and that affects our performance.
Yes.
That's my biggest insecurities I have.
Yeah.
The other thing is on my speech, I needed to summarize what I have said from the comment you gave to me. I just started the story to the end and I didn't summarize it. So I learned that I have to summarize what I'm talking at the end of my speech. That's what I will working on it. The other thing is for you, my question is, how can I work on my voice?
So the voice thing, we did our exercise earlier. I'll have you do it again. It's very easy to fix technically, but it's very difficult to accept from a mindset perspective. And maybe you can share a little bit about your experience when you were trying that exercise. How was it feeling in your mind when you did it?
Yeah, you don't realize how much louder you need to be. Like I was actually pushing it a lot more than I thought I had to, and I didn't know that I was talking quietly until you guys said it, and then maybe I started to hear it too.
Yeah.
Because now when I was answering your questions, I was thinking, this is a bit quiet.
It is loud enough? Yeah. So I'll teach you next time how to increase your voice. The gauge to know if you're actually increasing is if you feel uncomfortable in your mind as you're trying it. Now, this is the hard part. So if I tell you, okay, speak a little bit louder, in your mind, you will feel like you're screaming because it's just how you've always talked,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But if I'll say louder, you will need other people to tell you, wait, that's still not loud enough? What do you mean I'm screaming? So it's just allowing yourself to loosen up enough to go louder and louder and becoming extremely uncomfortable in the moment. And when you finally break that barrier and you hear yourself louder for the first time, then you're, oh, there's a lot more room here. So if you give me permission, I'd love to push you a little bit or try that out. Is that okay?
Sure.
Because we can fix that relatively quickly. But no, once you've seen it, once you've seen the range, then it takes a little bit of practice over time to get to this point. I used to be very soft-spoken too. I'll do my best to get you up to that point.
Thank you.
Regarding your bit about English being an insecurity, did anyone here have an issue with her English? So honestly, I could listen to you all day. So, but the thing is, when we are struggling with confidence or insecurity, and we don't quite know why or how it's affecting us, our mind comes up with reasons. So I work with a lot of people from Saudi Arabia, India, Kenya, and they'll have perfect English. And I'll say, hey, why do you not feel confident? Oh, it's my vocabulary. Like, how do you know? Oh, what else could it be? Well, because they don't know, they make up a reason and then they start believing it for years, right? I had this client from Venezuela who spent $12,000 on an accent reduction course because she thought her accent was why she's not confident. She removed the accent and said, hey, I don't have an accent. Why am I still insecure and $12,000 short? Because the accent was not the problem, right? Because I can tell you for every person who has an accent is insecure, there's another person who has an accent is not insecure, right? So I feel like for you, I don't think English is the issue. You just never knew. You were never aware that you're actually really good.
Yeah.
And if you can believe that after today, I think the English thing, we can put it to the side, and I'll tell you, you speak in a way that's so sincere and so authentic, I can't help but want to listen to you. And it's so hard to train that. It's hard to train someone to be an authentic person, and that comes to you naturally. So I wish I could say, hey, after my coaching, she became authentic. Maybe I will, who knows? But you have that gift, and don't beat yourself up for it. I think if you can just be a little bit louder and we can get those stories out of you, you'd be good. You said earlier, I have to summarize my stories at the end. I wouldn't say you have to summarize it. Just give the audience, what should they do with this information? Okay, you saved someone's life, you took a baby. What do I do? Do I go to the hospital and start saving babies now? What's my plan of action? So what's the message we can extrapolate from your speech? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Right? So overall, you're doing amazing. I'll push you in terms of your voice. How are we doing for time?
8:40 almost.
8:40. Okay, so we've got about an hour to kill. Let's get into one more round of practice. What do you think? Yeah? Okay. Are we feeling more comfortable now?
Yes.
Cool. All right. So is it better for you to talk to one person or three people at the same time?
I think it's better for one person.
One person. Okay.
We're like a family.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, sure.
So this is a couple, right? And they brought their midwife with them as well because she helped to deliver the baby. That's the situation here. And do you want to buy the house today? Okay. So is he considering buying a house?
Yeah.
Or what's the situation? Okay. Got it. So I'll have you come here.
Okay.
Sit down, and I'll just be taking notes. And as a midwife, you can also just keep some notes in mind. I'll ask you how it went for you as well, okay? And if you want to be like the couple who wants to butt in and have questions, this is a first for me, I must say. So, I don't know how this will pan out, but we'll try it out. Let me grab a chair.
Hey guys, how are you guys doing today? Good. Yeah, you just coming back from work? Oh, okay. How's the
Actually,
work?
can we pause? Let's just stand up. Pretend like you enter the room and you shake their hand,
Yeah.
and let's just
Oh, okay,
naturally
okay.
go. That's much better than just staring at each other, right? All right, okay. All right, just walk in, shake their hand, and then continue.
Hey,
how's it going?
Hey, good. How are you guys?
Good.
Good. Yeah, so just coming back from work.
Yes, long day.
Yes, sir.
Long day. Where you work? Downtown?
Yeah, downtown.
Yep.
Oh, okay. I guess coming down from Mississauga might have been a little bit of trek.
Yeah, it was, but hopefully it's worth it.
How was it? Just taking the go, or?
Yeah, I think we go every morning.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good. That's good. How's the Union Station? Is it back to normal? Back to office?
It's busy, man. It sucks.
Is busy. Yeah, I know. I remember like the COVID times, like before COVID, like it used to be like packed, like you had to like kind of like squish in the GO trains, and then you kind of go, and then it kind of died down after like COVID, and even I feel like it's kind of getting back, but like it's still not at the same level as
That was crazy back then.
yeah. Okay. How's the jobs going? I know the job market right now it's kind of a little bit shaky on the shaky end, but how's it for you guys?
Yeah, it works really good. He just got promoted.
Oh, okay, nice. Yeah, no, that's good. In this market, I'm hearing the opposite news, I would say. So it's good that you're getting promoted. Yes, no, that's good. That's good. Yeah. So, what made you think of getting into home buying?
Yeah, so we both were going to buy a home for a very long time. And I think now it's a good time to buy a house. Not a condo, not an apartment, just a house.
Yeah, we're actually looking to start a family as well.
Yes.
Very
Oh.
soon.
Oh, okay. So since you're living in downtown at the moment, as you said, that's condos. You would want to start a family maybe outside of the city a little bit.
Looking within the GTA, maybe on the east side.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
In the Durham region.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, sounds good. I think that's one of the ideal ways that people usually go to. It's people staying downtown for a little bit, rent it out there. You live the mid-20s lifestyle. It's kind of nice, and then
Yeah, a lot of fun.
yeah. So you kind of move out. So yeah, that is good. So have you thought about anything like how long do you want to go with the process, or like how long do you want to like maybe you want to buy it in the next 3 months? Maybe you're thinking about a year plan or a 2-year plan. How's
I think we have time. We have time. 6 months to 1 year is totally fine, but we get a good house, we'd be satisfied with.
oh
But we
okay.
also want to lean on your expertise as well, because if there's a good timing for us to enter the market or an opportunity comes up, we want you to fill in that gap.
Yeah, no, that's I think that's good. I think what's going on in the market at this moment is the interest rates. There's been 2 rate cuts that have previously happened, and at the moment we're like kind of like in the last 20 years we're at the historical interest rates at a point. So the buying power has reduced, but because of that, in 2021 you may have heard that the home prices were just like skyrocketing. Everything's kind of like overbidding and everything. So right now is a time where a lot of the sellers are like putting their houses on the market, but there aren't enough buyers because a lot of people aren't able to qualify for them. So because of that, some of the sellers that are kind of desperate, they're selling it for less. So you're getting some really good deals on some housing right now, and with the rate cuts coming, I think the more anticipations the more the rate cuts, then we're gonna have a lot more buying power. So that means the more buyers are gonna enter into it. So I think you're at a right point that we're kind of at the bottom. We don't know where the exact bottom is, but we're in the range of the bottom that we don't know when it's gonna pick back up. So I think it's a good time in the next 3 to 6 months. We have good levels of inventory at the moment. Have you thought about like what you're looking for, or have you been to like any open houses, or have you checked out any houses, or maybe you have any
All
friends?
right, let's pause here before we go into sell a house. Okay, they're like, I don't know what to ask this guy. Okay. So let me get your feedback, because you're the couple looking for the house here. How did you feel about this interaction?
It was good. Initially, it was a little bit formal. I mean, it wasn't formal, it was informal, but it felt very formal.
Oh, okay.
But when you got into the nitty-gritties and everything about the real estate, then you were more confident. You knew your stuff. You were knowledgeable. It's clearly visible. So that is a good thing that I noticed. Apart from that,
Yeah, a quick question. How trustworthy did he come in this conversation?
Yeah, relatively trustworthy.
Reasonably good? Okay.
yes.
And how much did you trust him as an expert? Of course, you didn't get into the nitty gritty, but how much did you trust him?
trust was building up. Initially it was
Yeah, yeah.
low, but slowly when we're getting into things,
Yeah.
it builds up.
Okay, so your question was more around the initial rapport building.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to tell you the whole sales process here. My feedback, and let me know if this is how you interpreted it. The first few questions sounded like bombarding them with questions. It's like, yeah, so what do you do? Okay, so you came out. Okay. It's like, and tell me if I'm wrong. It felt like you were thinking of the next question before they were done
He
talking.
wasn't like listening. He
Yeah.
was-
Yeah, it's like, oh, how do I just keep going? Next question, next question. Was that it?
Yeah.
Right? So in your head, it sounds like you're a little nervous about it, right? Okay, I want you to try something. Remember we talked about what and how questions?
Yeah.
I'm going to do the shake hand thing again. Let's just do it with you to make it simpler. Ask him one question. Whatever answer he gives, I want you to then comment on it and carry the conversation instead of bombarding the conversation.
Oh, okay.
Okay? So for example, let's say I'm a real estate agent. Okay, just stand up and shake my hand. Hey, how's it going? Nice to meet you. Where are you coming in from?
I'm from downtown.
Downtown?
Yeah.
Where downtown?
Well, near, I would say York Street.
York Street. I didn't know there was a real estate office there. I thought all of them were in Mississauga.
Oh, I just know this one. That's why I came here. But I'm
Ah.
not sure if that means that.
Well, listen, if you came all the way out here, something must be important. I want to make sure I make this worth your time. Can you see?
Yeah.
Right? Did you feel a little bit more natural in this conversation? Now let's try one more time, okay? Do one more time. Hey, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Where did you come from?
I'm coming from downtown,
Where downtown?
New York Street.
Oh, which building?
Which building? It's near Harbourfront. It's
Ah.
New York Street.
Okay. How's the view from there?
It's really good. I'm
Yeah?
on 20th floor. It's really good.
Yeah, yeah. And like, how long have you worked there?
For a year almost.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And how are you liking it?
It's really good. It's really good.
Can you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? Was that a little maybe mine was probably worse, but was that a little similar?
Sort of.
Sort of, right? So can you see him bombarding him with questions? Because I don't want to take on the burden of the conversation.
Yeah.
Like if I just toss it back at him, at least for 2 seconds, he can do the work a little bit. So I'm gonna have you do it one more time. I want you to carry more of the burden. Ask him a question, whatever he says, talk about that for a bit, then ask the question back. Not immediately. Can we try?
Okay.
All right, let's do it. And give him some different answer this time.
Hey, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Yeah, thanks for coming today.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, where are you coming from right now?
Oh, actually, I'm from North York.
Oh, North York. Oh, okay. Which part of North York?
Near the Yorkdale Mall.
Oh, okay. Yorkdale. Oh, it's a little bit of a high-end area, I would say.
Oh, yeah, it's pretty rich.
Yeah.
Place, yeah.
Yeah, I think like living in that area, you kind of have a lot of amenities as well. I'm just kind of running.
Yeah, they have a lot of cars there, right? I heard there's shops there.
You could have been in the Yorkdale.
Yeah.
Yeah, the best thing you could say here is a personal anecdote about what you know about the topic. What I like to do in my head is, when I think of this, it reminds me of that. So I didn't know anything about York. I said, I thought like all the real estate people are usually in, I don't even know why I sell real estate. I just assumed you were in real estate, right? So when I think of this, I think of that, and then you go into your own narrative, right? So if he asks, ask him a different question, just sit down and just shake his hand and ask him a different question.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good.
How's work going?
Oh, it's really good.
What-
A little bit hectic, but good.
Oh, okay. What do you do for work?
I'm a data analyst.
Oh, okay. It's a lot of numbers crunching. I feel like it's still going.
So can you see how quickly you bounce it back to him?
Yeah.
You gotta take on more of
Take
that
on.
burden. So when he says data analyst, when I think of data analyst, I think of what?
I think of like numbers,
Okay.
Excel.
Okay. What else?
Taking a look at a lot of charts.
Okay. Does it remind you of a person, something you've seen, a movie, anything like that?
Maybe I could tie into kind of like how I look at a lot of charts.
Okay.
In the
Try
market.
it. Let's try it. Okay. So tell him again what you do for a living.
Oh, I work as a data analyst.
Oh, okay. Good. So a lot of charts, numbers crunching.
Yes, visualization, a lot of it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I totally understand. We usually have a team of data collection that every month they take a look at how many sales have happening, how many, like what's the average price and everything. I exactly know what you mean when we're taking a look at the data, and sometimes it could get a little bit boring, but I think the visualization rather than just looking at numbers in Excel could be very beneficial.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Pause for a second. Did it give you a little bit of breathing room where you didn't have to do the work, right? Now, admittedly, just for this question, I wouldn't do it because he knows his job better than you do. Like, let me tell you what you do for a living, right? You must look at charts and all that. But for anything else, I think you did it really well, where you took off the burden of the conversation. When a client is walking in, they don't want to be in control. They're like, I don't know who this guy is. I don't know how to buy a house. Let him do all the work, right? So you need to make them feel as less pressured as possible. And the way you do that is not throwing questions at them. So I would say some of these first few things you say, list down those questions and have something to say in those initial bits and carry the conversation more. Then, after you have the little bit of rapport, okay, great, well, I want to be respectful of your time. Let's talk about what kind of home you're looking for. And then you do a quick detour and you go into that discussion.
Yeah, okay.
Right?
Sounds good.
So I think for you, more storytelling, a lot like you just did now, longer rambling on your part, less on their part. That's it.
Oh,
All right?
Yeah.
Well
sounds
done,
good.
my friend. Have a seat. Have a seat.
Thank you.
Honestly, I didn't know this until I did my counseling degree. I had like one word that I would say, like, now what do I say? So this is it's sales. I'm sure you've learned this on the sales call. You have to. Two things to expand on that. One, sometimes you asked him a question before he was done talking. So to me, that just tells me you're thinking ahead, which is okay. And second, what really helps is just recapping what they've just said. So you'll notice sometimes you'll ask me a question, I'll say, I want to make sure I understand you correctly. Is this what you're saying? And that just shows I'm listening and I'm really trying to help you, right? So when you say you're looking for a 2-bedroom that has a nice backyard, when you say backyard, what are you talking about? I'm just really trying to get specific on my understanding. And you feel like, oh, he's really going the extra mile. Does that make sense? Right? Okay. So we want to do some interview questions, and your goal is, and we'll have the audience judge how clear the answer sounds.
Okay.
And because, well, I guess he's a technical person. Her, myself, and him, we're not technical people. If it makes sense to us, then you're doing a phenomenal job, okay? I'll ask you basic behavioral questions. Let's just see how you do there, okay? All right, Karan. Tell me about a time when you went above and beyond at work.
Definitely. So I'll tell you about my time while I was working at IBM in India. So there I was working as a market research analyst, and we had a situation where I was the only one handling the project, and apparently my manager and the leads were also on a break. So at that point, I had to take up the responsibility and go beyond my skills to complete the task and meet the deadline. It was a big task because the client was in a rush and we had to meet the deadline really quick. While there was no one to support me, I had to do some primary research all by myself. So I was dealing in IT products, and I'm aware of IT products, but not in detail. I had to search each and every memory of that laptop, maybe TV has a display, which kind of display. So that kind of stuff I had to go in nitty-gritties very, very in detail. So at that point, I tried different type of routines that we do. But I had to take the help of other people as well. Although I was leading, but I had to separate the task, or maybe I would say divide the task among the different teams. So I had to take certain responsibility. I had to do the work that my manager used to do. I had to manage the team as well as I was working by myself in the primary research. So while I was doing that, I had taken up the half of the work that was supposed to be due, and half of them was divided. So that's what I was doing. I did my research based on the markets that we were dealing in. So for example, I was dealing with the Russian market. So I was focused on the Russian market rather than I put my team on the Ukrainian side, because that was the second priority. I was working on the priority. So that was the responsibility that was given to me, and I worked really hard along with my team, and apparently we were able to meet the deadline way before than expected, and the client was really happy for the work that was done.
Okay. Really quick, out of 10, what would you give yourself?
5?
Okay, I don't think it was a 5, but
5, 6.
how'd you feel?
6.
6-ish? Okay. Did you understand what problem you solved?
He's just rushing to answer the question,
Mm,
not thinking the way he's answering, really give
Yeah.
the point, the interviewer is looking for.
yeah. I had that same impression. So 2 things that will help you. 1, if you want to appear confident before answering a question, think of this in your head, this mindset. It's, of course you have this question. So if I really wanted you to ask me a question, let's say you prepare 5 questions for a test, and those are the exact 5 that show up. You flip the page, you know that feeling in your body, like, oh, of course I know this. I want you to go into the answer with that mindset. So it puts me at ease. So if I said, hey, can you give me an example of a time where you worked with a difficult coworker? Yeah. So one of the coworkers I had, can you just see how quickly I'm able to pivot? And it's like it's hard to quantify it. It's more of a mindset thing. So just approach a question that way. You'll come across confident. And number 2, you were really good up until you start talking about what you did. And then I had no idea what the heck you said. Right? I was doing this, I was doing that. And then you said something about I was doing my manager's work. I was like, okay, I'm back in. And then Ukraine market, Russia, like, what are Ukraine? What are we talking about? What market is this? Right?
That was out of nowhere.
Yeah, so those were you were talking about too many details in there. Yeah. Just tell me enough for me to understand it. So what did you do there? What did you fix?
I fixed the data that was for IT products mainly. That's
okay. And how did you do that?
By my primary research.
Okay, so then that's what you would say. So what I did was I conducted primary research. I collected all the data to solve XYZ problem, and by the end of it, we were able to meet the deadline, and the client was extremely happy. So what I learned from this is when you have this kind of problem, this is the solution. And I feel like you do really well with the conflict part, the situation part, but when you get to the what you did, it's like
scattered.
Yeah, she's my litmus test of. Did you understand? No? Okay, didn't make it right. Okay. Can we do one more?
Sure.
Your challenge is simplify what you did. Okay, I'm going to ask you next, and you just tell me what he did. All right? Okay. Something really easy. Tell me about a time when you had a disagreement with a client and how you handled that.
Oh, definitely.
That was really good. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Again, I'll take my example of IBM while I was working as an analyst over there. The client wasn't happy with the research that we did, but apparently that was the correct way of doing it, but the client wanted it in a different way because the things that we align to and the clients align to sometimes don't match. Sometimes we are too technical, but the client wants it more generalized. So that's where we had to take some steps as a team and have some conflicts or discussions with the client back to back and forth. So at that point, at one point, we were dealing with some kitchen products because we deal in every kind of products. And the country that we were dealing with, that was Russian. Because I was working with the Russian team, I was working with every product, but this time I was working with kitchen products in the Russian team. So there, I did my primary research, but apparently the research was based on the retailer's perspective, not the distributor's perspective. And the client wanted the distributor perspective. Apparently the distributors weren't enough, the data wasn't enough for us to do the research. So we had to switch to the retailer side. And where we got all the information, but the client wasn't happy. So we made sure that the data that we are giving them and the data that we researched upon was relevant rather than going on the distributor side because it was missing a lot of information. So we got up as a team, we explained them in every detail how this can be more helpful rather than just going on the other side that you're thinking of. And it can help you in the long run as well. Not just for this product, maybe for the other products. So that's where we had a little bit discussion. It was very long. It was taken to a vertical management as well. But ultimately, we did make a good point. There were some negotiations, but ultimately, we made a good point and it was looked upon and still continued for the rest of the period of time.
Okay.
Thank you.
What did he do to fix the problem?
So it was more of an understand, like they explained the problem to the client.
Yeah.
To kind of solve it. That's what I understood out of it.
That's a key phrase there. That's what I understood out of it. Right? That's fine. Did you have a different understanding? Similar. Okay. Any room for improvement?
I thought it was much better.
Yeah.
It was similar.
Yeah. I feel like there was just like one area where you got complex again. You say things like a lot of negotiation happened, a lot of points from like what points, what negotiation?
Oh, okay.
Be specific.
Okay,
and you did this in your last story too. Everyone did this. My colleagues did. No vagueness. Just make it as specific as possible. When you were talking with a distributor and a supplier, I was all in, and then we went into vague territory. Simplify that. And just when I think the problem has been solved, okay, that's what he did, you keep layering more and more on top. Just stop. This is what we did to fix it, and now it's fixed, and this is what the client feels,
Okay,
right?
that's
So I feel like for you, situation is great. Action towards the end of the action. Situation and task are good. Towards the end of the action, that's where you stumble the most.
Yeah.
And then you almost don't say the resolution at all. So remember to say the resolution in the
yeah.
end too. So the action and resolution.
And message as well.
Correct. If you can remember. So let's just get the action resolution
Yeah.
down. Okay? Well done, my friend. Well done. Okay. I'm going to have you go first just because it might take a little bit longer. And then can I close out with you? Okay. Yeah, come on up here. Okay. So this is a part where I said I'll need your permission, remember? So before we start, just put one hand on your chest real quick and one hand on your belly. And just observe your breath naturally. Don't change anything. And as you're observing, notice where do you breathe from more? Is it the chest or is it the belly? And it might be the same.
My belly.
Your belly?
Yeah, I
You
feel
feel
my
more?
belly.
Okay, good. Now continue talking. Do you feel any tension there as you're talking in the belly?
Tension here.
Tension is here. That means you don't talk from the belly, you talk from here, right? So that's very important. Are we getting this on cam? We're good? Okay. So that means you're breathing very shallow, and when you breathe from here, it's really hard to get that volume out.
Yeah.
So I'll demonstrate an exercise. I'm going to exhale completely, and then I'm going to try to talk, and you'll see how bad I sound because I have no energy, okay?
Okay.
This is me talking. You can see my voice is naturally very low because I have no air. Now, I'm going to take in a lot of air, and you see the voice project. This is me talking now, and you can see all the air is coming out with my voice. Okay? So what I want you to do is just put your hand on your belly, and when you inhale, think about a spring in your head. And the spring coils as you inhale, and when you talk, all the words come out with the air. So it's almost like you're pushing it out with the air, okay? Take a really deep breath and just say, I love Toronto as loud as you can.
I love Toronto as much as you.
Okay, pause. So first of all, it was a little louder, but you exhaled first.
Yeah.
Don't exhale then talk. Say it at the same time. Okay, let's do it one more time. Now you're catching yourself. Good, good.
Okay, what I'm gonna say.
I love Toronto. But just don't exhale when you do it. The words have to come out the moment you open your mouth.
Okay. I love Toronto.
Yeah, you see some head nods there, right? Is it uncomfortable in your head?
Yeah.
Okay, let's keep pushing it. Okay?
Okay.
Let's give her a different sentence other than I love Toronto. I love paying taxes. Okay? Let's do that. Same thing.
Okay. I love paying taxes.
Can you feel? You know what? Let's get a third opinion. I want to make sure he gets it too. She's going to do the breathing exercises, and now you can see it from an outside perspective. All right?
Yeah.
Say it without it normally. Just say I like taxes. Whatever.
I like paying taxes.
How'd that sound?
Good.
Good. Now let's try something a little bit longer.
Okay.
Okay. Can you just tell me what you ate today in the morning and in the afternoon? And I just want you to take one deep breath as loud as you can. And the moment the volume starts to die down, just stop talking. Okay? Let's try. Exhale.
Okay. I'm gonna try again. I had avocado toast for my breakfast today morning.
How was that volume wise? His eyebrows are like up here. You could tell. That was loud. It was very, very good. So we're breaking that barrier a little bit, right? What's the struggle? Because I still think there's some challenge going on. What seems to be the issue? Is the mindset, right? So are we feeling that resistance of, oh my God, this is too loud?
Yeah.
Now, be honest. Does it sound like she's screaming?
Could be louder. Yeah.
So this is where I have to push you. Okay, can we do even
Is
louder?
that what I sound
Yeah.
like? Like I could be that much louder?
You had a lot more room for sure.
But it wouldn't be weird.
No. All right, so let's have a look. And a deep breath, even louder than before.
What I'm gonna say.
I love avocado toast.
I love avocado toast.
A little bit louder than last time, I see, right?
Yeah,
How's it feeling for you?
it's good.
Now, is it coming from here still, or is it coming from the belly? Okay, so that's good. So we've moved our voice from there to there, and it tells me you can do it. So we can practice and train yourself to do it. I want you to talk for a bit longer now, but this time, when you take that breath, talk until you run out of air. Pause, even if it's in the middle of a sentence. I don't care what you say. Inhale again, strong sentence again. Let's just try doing that, okay?
Okay.
Go for it. And let's give her a topic. Just tell me what you did since you woke up and you came here. Just walk me through that.
Walking.
Just you woke up and then what did you do?
Okay. I wake up early morning and I read my Bible, then go for running, come back home, working on my to-do list.
Take another breath and continue.
So yeah, after that I was thinking about public speaking this afternoon.
Pause. Can we notice the voice? It's coming more and more now. But then the moment you start doubting yourself, immediately it goes right back down. This is that mental component I was talking about. Because now your brain says, hey, this is not how we normally do things. Let's go back to that thing. This constant struggle you're feeling.
Yeah.
I want you to try one more time, but this time really push the range, okay? Just tell me the same thing again, but like you're trying to scream to get someone's attention across the street. Let's just see what that sounds like, okay?
Okay.
Or there's a fire and you have to let everybody know. Let's try that whiz.
Okay.
All right, deep inhale, don't exhale, and just start talking.
I wake up in the morning, I read my Bible and go for a run.
How was that? Really, really good. Very, very good. Have a seat, and I hope this will take time,
Yeah.
but if you can just remind yourself throughout your day, hey, where am I speaking from? Is this the belly or is this the chest? And you keep doing those check-ins with yourself, I promise you, eventually you won't even have to think about it. You'll naturally do it. And the funny thing is, right now, you have to really inhale to get all the words out. Over time, you won't even have to do that and the words will come out. Are we feeling better?
Yeah. Thank you.
But we're also feeling a little insecure, right?
Yeah.
Good. I'm going to have him do it just so you can see too. Let's get you to try one more time. And then I have another exercise for you that's going to be unusual, but I think you'll enjoy it.
So I woke up today at around 10 a.m. I had my breakfast, which was eggs and toast. Then from there, I got on to some client calls that I had. They were scheduled about a week in advance. We went through some of the builds that we've done for them. We did some diagnosis on the AI bots that
Okay,
we've built.
pause. Can you notice the voice being louder when he starts speaking? And then as the air starts to run out, it gets a little, you know what? Your baseline volume is much higher. Can we tell? Like in general, you're just talking way louder.
Yeah.
Can we push it to a little bit of exaggeration?
Okay.
It should feel really uncomfortable, okay?
Okay.
Like today I woke up and I had coffee in the morning. That's what I want you to go for.
All right.
All right, try.
So today I woke up and I had coffee in the morning, and the coffee was really hot, and I had it while I was doing my morning meetings with my clients. So we do check-ins every morning. We see the bots that we built for them, how they're performing and all of that.
Okay, pause. The latter half of his voice was still louder than the last one. Did you notice that?
It's relative.
Right? It's relative because, of course, initially, hey, how's it going? Welcome to my... Too much. But it shows me you have the range.
Yeah.
And did it feel uncomfortable in your head?
Yeah, like it's not something I could prolong. It's like
Yeah, you're literally screaming,
Yeah.
right? But then when you went down in the volume, was that easier on you?
Yeah, I could maintain that probably.
Okay, I want you to try aiming for that latter half.
Okay.
And just, I'll let you run for a bit longer, okay? Deep breath and let's start out strong.
Should I scream?
No, just the latter half of that. When the air died down, I will.
So today I woke up at around 10 a.m. That's normally when I do my client check-ins. I had my coffee in the morning. The coffee was fantastic. And I always do an evaluation with my clients to see how they're doing. We do an evaluation of the bots that we built for them, the projects that we have. And then I give my team the feedback on what needs to be improved on
Pause.
that day.
Now, I'm not sure if you're noticing one side effect. His words sound way more clear. His mouth is opening more because he's breathing more,
Yeah.
and you sound a lot more articulate, and you slowed down too. So this is when you knock down one domino, a lot of other things start to get in line too.
Yeah.
do the same thing again, but just take note of how slow you speak. Just take note of it.
And slow it down? Or just
Don't actively do it, but just keep track of your pace, and you'll notice it will become slower just because you're
Yeah,
aware.
okay.
Try it.
So today I woke up at around 10 a.m. That's normally when I do my client check-ins and my client calls. Along with that, I had my morning coffee, which is an espresso, the same one that I've been having for the past 3 years. It's fantastic. And normally during these calls, we do a diagnosis of what I build for my clients. I gather feedback on how things are performing. And then we relay that back to my team to build actionable plans throughout that week and for the coming month. We track all of these on a Notion document where we track how everything is working.
Okay, pause. How do we feel about the voice?
Yeah.
Good? So we pushed the range all the way.
Yeah.
It unlocked your little mindset issue. And then when I said talk normally, now you just talk much louder in the bass.
And it wasn't weird.
It sounded good.
In a speech context, it sounds fine, but also just conversationally, should it be that loud?
Well, I feel like you're talking just as loud now.
Oh, really?
Louder than the first time you were talking.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Isn't that weird? Like, yeah.
Really?
That's what I told you right at the start. You have it in you.
Yeah.
You just gotta unlock it. Good job. I'm gonna get you to do one more thing.
Yeah.
This one's gonna feel a little weird, okay?
Sure.
So I'm gonna stand in the back there, and I'm gonna give you a gesture. This one or this one.
Yeah.
This one means as loud, as energetic as possible.
Yeah.
This one means really quietly and talk like
Yeah.
that. And I'm gonna switch between the two.
Have you seen Ultra Speaking? It's like an
Yeah,
online
yeah,
platform.
yeah.
They have a game.
Yeah, similar.
Yeah,
It's just
I've tried
like, what's that called? Same situation.
yeah,
So
I
just
know.
use my hand as a prompt, okay? But what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna push the range quite a bit.
All right.
All right?
What topic? Just morning?
Doesn't really matter, but yeah, let's just talk about your daily schedule.
same thing, obviously.
The challenge with this is, if you can just try to make your day sound interesting because of the vocal variation.
Okay.
Okay? So we'll start neutral, and then I'll give you this or that, okay? Start.
Voice thing?
Yeah.
So today I woke up at around 10 a.m. That's normally when I wake up. But the crazy thing is that that's pretty late for a lot of people. But for me, I find it very interesting because as an entrepreneur, I have the ability to wake up at these late hours and I don't have to follow any strict schedules. And that's normally when I meet my clients. And my clients are always, it's so hard to coordinate. Yeah, so the reason why I meet my clients is that it's very important for me to gather feedback on exactly how we're performing and how we're doing for them. Because it's very important to me for us to have a fantastic delivery of the type of work that we're putting out there, because it's a direct reflection on exactly what I do, what I put out there, and how I'm perceived on the market and as an educator and as a thought leader in this space. So that's why I put so much effort and passion behind what I do, because it's really my blood, sweat, and tears that goes into this work. And that's really why I'm so passionate about all of this and the work that we
All right, time. How'd you do?
Very good.
Now, the reason I have you do that is just because you can see the difference in the volume.
Yeah.
Could we see the difference in the range? Did he sound more interesting when he sounded a little silly, let's be honest. But did he sound a little more interesting with the variations? How we feel? Yeah. And also one thing you did really intelligently, whenever you want to make a point and make people remember that, don't say that loudly. Whisper it. What do people do when you whisper? Right? Something important.
Yeah.
So one of my coaches said, whenever you want to make a point, say it right in the center. So notice how everything, why is he whispering? You did that naturally towards the end, and that's why I'm so passionate about my work.
Yeah.
So the vocal variation was great. I think your voice is like a little bit more unlocked now.
Yeah,
Just
probably.
practices. I think this was fantastic. Did we see a big change? Yes or no? Yeah. Let's give him a round of applause, folks.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, how much time we got? We got 15 minutes. So what I would love to do is just get everyone up here one more time. Just 2 minutes, talk about what you learned, what was valuable. It helps me as a coach too, and it helps you self-reflect on what you just learned. Can we do that? Come on, dude, let's see what you learned, my friend.
I think one of the things that I wanted to come here and take a look at, learn was just kind of like holding up a conversation. And that was a key point that you pointed out, that rather than letting the client or the other person talk, you take the control, you do most of the talkings, just so kind of like the other person kind of feels like a little bit more comfortable with it. I always thought that you let the other person talk a lot more because I've been in a scenario on the other side. Like sometimes, let's say like we can use an example as like let's say somebody has like a Honda or somebody has a Mercedes, right? So a lot of the times when you're having a conversation, you try to top the other person up, and in that sense, the other person kind of just feels like, oh, this guy's just trying to feel a little bit better than me. So that was one of the reasons why I would always throw the question and try to relate back to it. But I think it was a good point that you pointed out, just to make the other person feel a lot more comfortable. Just kind of take the lead on it. But at the same time, I would still want to avoid kind of like topping the other person up. That in that type of scenario, to kind of like build like a more of a trust and for the person to feel a lot more comfortable.
Okay, that was one. Anything else?
And then I think not that like I feel like that was an issue with my thing, but like I learned the breathing and talking louder. Maybe it could be very helpful in a different setting. Like right now, I would say like our age group would like I was a lot more comfortable. It's also only 4 people. That's something that could help me with a bigger crowd where I'm feeling a little bit more nervous, but I still need to talk a lot louder. I feel like that can it can be very helpful over there.
Beautiful. Well done. Have a seat. All right. This is the most ums and ahs I heard was right now. I didn't hear any of these before. Where were these before? What the hell? I was like,
Was that a good thing or a bad thing?
wait, it seems to show up when you're not quite sure where you're going.
We didn't actually know.
We didn't notice.
Interesting.
We didn't notice.
Right? Isn't that cool? So if no one notices, that means whatever you were saying was more important.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I had to learn. Like all these individual components, like, yeah, great story, but you said, who cares?
Yeah,
The main message got across, right? Again, she's a primary example of that. Like, barely took notes during that story. She's like, all right.
Okay, so the 3 things that I learned. I got to know about my problem, first of all. That was storytelling, but getting lost in the middle and just rambling upon one thing and another. So I knew about it, but I didn't know where exactly I was going wrong. So that's why I got to know that the actions and the clarity that I give of the cure, not the solution, but the cure, sometimes, scatters around. So that's what I got to know. That was my biggest problem. Nervousness, initially it's there, but it depends on the crowd. Sometimes it depends on what the topic I'm speaking of. But at this point, even if the topic that I was not aware of, I tried to improve on that. So that will still help me in the long term. Other than that, the last thing would be again, with everyone, I genuinely learn from everyone, especially with the storytelling, like totally natural. I mean, it was really good to know. That's the main thing that I learned over here. That's mostly it.
Good enough.
Yeah.
Good enough. Have a seat. You'll notice it's hard to take a lot of information and then condense it into the main takeaways,
that's
right?
what I was saying,
Yeah.
I guess, yeah.
Just look at the recording after.
Yeah, then I'll tell you what I learned. No, you're going to go up now. You're going to tell me. All right.
All right. First of all, thank you so much. I had a fantastic experience with this. So 3 things that I learned. One was definitely the volume. I think that's something that I didn't realize was an issue, but now that it's pointed out, I think I can control it or just be aware of it as I talk. I don't know if I'm doing it now, but hopefully it's fine. The other thing is storytelling as well. So it wasn't really pertinent to like what I was facing, but I think with like the fail safe and me having to plan everything, if I have a certain structure, which the problem, the cure, the resolution, if I know that I can follow something, then I have that to fall back on as well, rather than preparation. So maybe that can be more spontaneous. Maybe I can come up with things on the spot if I have access to that. And then the third thing is more general, but just understanding that everyone's perceptions are different. What we're thinking of in our head, the problems that we have or the gaps in our public speaking is not what other people see. and we shouldn't place that much importance on them. We shouldn't stress about them that much because maybe no one else sees that. And that's applicable to more than public speaking. It's when we mess up in life or family relationships, whatever. It's never that big of a deal. So it's a good perspective to have, and I appreciate you for bringing that to us, and I had a great experience.
Thank you very much. That was your best speech today.
I feel like the first time when he was talking, like because your voice was low, you were kind of like talking fast and then just like good trying to finish the sentence. And like right now it was a lot more clear.
Yeah.
And it was loud and clear versus before it was fast and like not very loud.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was just that was a prepared speech at the beginning where it's like, I'm just so worried about, am I going to forget the next sentence? Let me get it out.
It's also how you prepare. Like if you prepare to memorize and get
that's
each
what I
word.
do. I just memorize.
Yeah, memorize the worst possible thing you can do because then it's the easiest way to stress yourself out is memorize.
Exactly.
It's like, how can I put something into a story structure so that I know the order of the information and the exact words aren't as important? Like if you did a sales call that was memorized, you know someone who's reading from a script, immediately like, bro, I can tell you're not even listening. You're just trying to go to the next question.
I don't know where this comes from because I've never messed up. Like even if I had to be spontaneous.
I think we can have a much longer discussion on that, but it's the, if you were a child and you did not have permission to fail and or you failed and there was a consequence to it, it trains you in the future to never try to fail again.
Yeah.
So then all the tiny things, I want to make sure I'm doing this perfectly. And that breeds a lot of perfectionism. So I don't know about you, but my parents were very strict like that. And our part of the world tends to be like that as well.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so hopefully that helped. Ready to go? All right.
All right.
Let's see what you learned. Let's try that voice, that new voice you got.
Yeah, so from the beginning, I would like to say thank you for this opportunity because, to be honest, everywhere I have tried a couple of places that is very expensive that I can't afford. And I'm really happy because I get something in affordable price to get here and learn more. And the other thing is, I really appreciate the way you just handle the audience, how they are practicing, and you are very patient. You are very thoughtful, kind to everyone. And you are really a great coach, I would say. And yeah, when I come to my point, I learned about storytelling structure that I'm gonna go home and work on it. The second one is about my voice.
Now it got louder. all of a sudden, it just got louder.
Yeah, about my voice, I'm working on it, and you told me how to practice to increase my voice. The other thing is when making a pause, it's very important to just catch the audience attention. The other thing is just when we talk about the main point of the message, making our voice slower. That's really nice. I don't know that. So yeah, it's encouraging environment, supportive, very helpful, and everyone is easy to be around and welcoming. I saw like every face is smiling and welcoming. So I'm really happy to be here and I'm grateful about this day. Yeah.
Well done. Let's see. I like how you remembered halfway with the volume. And the moment you start talking with the volume went back down. So just remember to remind yourself over and over again, the way you have a volume as a prompt for you, pace is an issue for me. I usually talk like a machine gun, and on my screen, I usually have a sticker that says slow down. So I'll be talking really fast, I'll look at the sticker, and then all of a sudden, I'll slow down and then machine gun again. So you might have to remind yourself every so often, that's okay, but this is how you'll get better. Okay? Folks, how are we feeling? We're 5 minutes shy. We're feeling good?
Feeling good?
Go ahead.
Based on that only, like sometimes you don't remember things at that point.
Yeah.
It's like that one.
Yeah.
I don't remember a lot of it, but I know I've learned a lot.
Yeah.
So even in any speech, in anything, talking to someone, if you remember those things in the end, can you go back to those stuff and talk about it? Is it relevant? Yes. I mean, if it's relevant, then talk about it.
No, it is very relevant. So what you're saying is, will this technique be top of mind when I really need it? Is that the question? Okay.
Yeah. If it's good if it's on top of my mind, I can speak at that moment.
Yeah.
But if I don't, at one point I will put, and now I remember that I should have said that.
Yeah.
Also.
The best way for me to explain this is, imagine your brain has two sides. One is the conscious side and the other is the subconscious, automatic side, right? There's a great book called Thinking Fast and Slow. I forgot the name of the author, Daniel something. But whenever you do something consciously, like I'm writing something, I'm thinking, I'm being creative, that's one side of the brain. That's the creative part of the brain, right? But you don't want to use that same part of the brain to do things that your body does automatically. So like when I gave the example of walking across the street and you're trying to be aware of everything, you're not going to be conscious of when you're walking, right? But at some point in your life, you learn how to walk. Similarly, when you were tying your shoelaces the first time, you're being conscious. You're using the conscious brain to learn. But now that you know of it, hopefully, you don't think about how to tie a shoelace, right? You can just do it automatically. So the goal with this training is you do it consciously enough times where it goes from that conscious brain to the automatic brain. When you really need it, your body automatically does it. And you know you've made progress when you don't even know you're doing it. Now, this is the funny thing, right? So and this happens a lot with dieting. So if you've ever dieted before, maybe you had a sugar tooth or whatever, and you're really struggling with it, but then you had 1 good week, 2 good weeks, and then you're on a momentum and you've lost 20 pounds. Like, oh, how did I do that? Remember I had an issue with sugar back in the day? You completely forget because now it's not top of mind. So some people think, because I'm not thinking about it, I'm not getting better. But because you're not thinking about it, that exactly is why you're getting better. So what I would do with you is, if you're learning techniques, review the footage back and look at it from a third person perspective and then evaluate. Am I slowing down like I learned to slow down? Am I giving a clear answer? And then you will know. In the moment, it's hard to tell. Right? So, and also with this, some of these automatic things you learn, they also come and go. So one day you'll perform well, the other day you'll completely forget. So I'll tell you a secret of mine that nobody knows. Whenever I do a keynote, I always fuck up the first minute. Always. Every single, like it's so bad that it's never not happened. And the reason it happens is because, if you can see I have Invisalign, the little braces thing in there. So what it does is it dries up my mouth. So the moment I start speaking, I have a lot of adrenaline like you did earlier, or you did earlier. And my mouth dries up so much that my tongue gets stuck to the top of my mouth and I start stuttering. So right away at the start of every single presentation, I start stuttering. I'm like, fuck. But now I know that this happens every single time, so I don't stress about it too much. But eventually, when I look at the footage back, like, remember when you used to be really self-conscious about this, but now you don't even think about it because you just know it's going to happen. So you will have moments like that in your life too. Moment what?
What if we remember certain things afterwards? Like,
Oh,
if you're not doing it.
Yeah.
But at that moment.
Well, that's like, someone says something to you, oh, I had a good comeback for that guy. That's life, and also a tangential example of this. You ever blank out when you wanted to say something, right? So what happens is, you know what to say, you have the material in your head, but because there's so much pressure in the moment, you can't access that memory. And what will happen is the moment you step off stage or you're not in that conversation anymore, it comes all the way back, right? I'll leave you with one analogy here. Imagine your brain is like a hard drive. It has 100 gigabytes of storage, right? And you prepared for your presentation, and 100 gigabytes of storage is full. Now you come onto the stage and you're like, oh, is this person paying attention? Is this person listening to me? What do they think? Will I do well? Now what your brain has to do is, hey, we only have this much storage. We need storage to think of all these extra thoughts. Let's remove all the things we remembered from the speech to make room for this extra thought. You see what I'm saying? So then you come on stage and you forget everything you knew because your brain is prioritizing other things. And the moment you step off stage, all of that comes back to you. So this is going back to focus. Like, what are you focusing on in that moment? I can get too technical with my own explanation sometimes, but hopefully that made sense, right? So folks, I hope you enjoyed the session today. There's only two things that would help me. One is if you truly enjoy this, tell other people. I want to do these as often as I can, and I don't make any money from this. Hopefully, I've got to pay a videographer, I got to pay for the venue, all that stuff. This is not a profit motive for me. I had something happen recently that changed my mindset on the kind of training I was doing. I usually work with celebrities and CEOs and successful people, and they pay me a lot of money for the work I do. But every now and then I have someone in my inbox, some kid from Indonesia, someone from India. I said, hey, I watched your videos and I got into my favorite college. Or I aced the interview and now I can support my family back home. And I don't want to go into details, but someone from a specific part of the world that is under a lot of stress right now was watching my videos. And she inboxed me how much of an impact it had. And it genuinely made me cry because of that message. And I was like, I have all this time, I don't do anything with it. Why don't I just train people for free, show other people, and I'm sure other people will be motivated by it too. So if you enjoyed this, my only ask is tell other people. And if you didn't enjoy it, tell your enemies. Can get them to show up and then waste their time with it, right? And if there's anything else I can do to help you out, you know where to find me. You've got my email. I will be checking up on you in about a month from now, just to make sure that you've learned something out of this and you don't go back to normal after that, okay?